across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is James Whale Unleashed with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. My hair looks incredibly flat, so let's change
Yeah, your hair
that.
looks flat, man.
All right. OK, this is James Whale Unleashed, and let's go straight to James Whale for Whaley's Week, which is his take on what's happened this week. James, how are you?
I was fine until you two popped up. Now, give them a coffee break. Tell them to start off. I don't need them anymore.
Yeah, go. You can go and have a coffee break.
Nobody has spoken to me. No, go. Both of you go and have a coffee or a drink. And this is not how we plan to do the show.
Shit, come on.
So on my last few programmes, coming from my boudoir, you two go. You come up like a pair of ugly ducklings and sit there trying to make yourself look beautiful. It doesn't. What is wrong with you, Ash?
I'm just settling myself, man, at the crease.
Yeah, well, you have all day to
My
do
shirt
that.
come undone, yeah.
I'm being quite serious now to whoever the engineer is. Give me a full screen and tell the producer to just listen to what I'm saying.
Oh,
Thank you, and we'll get through it. Now, nice to have you with us. I am here in my living room. As you know, last week I had a few problems when I got there. Just a very quick update on my health. No real change. I'm not getting better. I'm at the, I'm at the final stages of having cancer. So why I'm wasting it with Ash being there with his mate Andre when they could be down the pub or at the local Jingle Bells, the local gay club across the street, I've no idea. Anyway, listen, my week, we'll see if this works. Seriously, can you get rid of them? Wales Week, and we're going to try this for the next couple of Sundays. I want to talk about the migrant crisis. It is more than a crisis now. I want to talk about climate and the ridiculous lies we're being told. I want to talk about Israel and how Israel is going to lose all support from the rest of the world. And if it does, here's the question: what has it achieved? And I want to hear from you as well. The number 0344 499 1000, my usual number. But for those of you who may be new to this program, I've only been doing it like 50 years. So I just kind of fill you in. Apparently I am quite grumpy. It's not very nice to say, is it? I'm quite grumpy. And some people get very annoyed and then complain. And if you're a complainer, bug off. Because there's so much more TV and radio you can listen and watch. You don't have to bother yourself with the mind. So if you're easily upset, easily triggered, bugger off, okay? That is my advice to you. And also Northern Ireland. Now, I'm so old that I was on the TV and radio talking about Northern Ireland back in the Thatcher days. And I have been to Northern Ireland on many, many times. It is a beautiful part of the United Kingdom. I love Northern Ireland, and they have some of the most charming and hospitable people you could meet. But they seem to be plagued with these people who can't control themselves. We tie this in with those people, of course, who are trying to break into the country, the migrants who are trying to break into the country. And we have a huge, huge problem. You want a cup of coffee, that's okay, but you're going to have to make it yourself. Now, my thoughts are this. Let's go back to the migrants. And then I want you to ring in. The number isn't on the screen. Put the number on the screen. There we are. For those people watching on talkTV, 0344 499 1000. For those of you listening to us on Talk Radio as well. Apologies about my voice. Part of having cancer, it affects your voice in many ways, in certain ways. The migrants are flooding our country, and apparently the government are going to get rid of the hotels. I'm sitting in a thunderstorm, by the way, and at any moment now there's going to be a very big bang. Please don't jump. Pretty good timing, eh? Pretty good timing. That means it's fairly close. These migrants who are coming to this country, if they came to this country armed and ready to fight to take over our country, we would be handling it in a different way. They're coming here not just to try and take over the country to get rid of our culture. Now, if we don't want our culture, if we don't want, and if this is the majority of people and you don't want the country anymore, and you think the culture of being British has had its day, and that is what the majority of people think, then that's fine. That's democracy. But I don't actually read it that way. The government are too pussyfooting to do anything about it. They're going to have to be tough. They're going to have to use the military. And when people look at you and say, oh, you know, you can't turn your guns on me, you can't do that, I'm completely unarmed, what do? Somebody breaks in your house and they start to steal your hard-earned stuff, and you've got a gun or a kitchen knife or whatever. I'm not suggesting you do this, by the way. I'm just saying, how would you feel? Would you just say, oh, well, you're not armed, please, would you mind going? And if they say, no, we're not going, in fact, we'd like you to leave and we're going to take over your home, how would you react to that, I wonder? And I'd like to hear 0344 499 1000 is the number to call. Hopefully we're still in touch with the thunder going on outside. Let's take a call before we go any further, otherwise it's just me prattling on. I can't see on the screen who it is. So, Harry or Barry? Oh, it's Terry. Harry, Barry or Terry? Somebody making a noise there.
All right. Oh, James.
Warsaw. Yeah, who's that?
Terry.
Who?
Terry.
Sounds like Ash. Sod off.
Can you get flashbacks?
No, go. You're finished. You know, I'm sorry, mate. I tried saving your career. I've tried doing all. No, I'm sorry. I've tried doing all sorts for you. Do we have another call, or we're just messing around? If we're messing around, Karina in South Wales. Karina.
Hiya, James.
How are you, Karina?
I'm fine.
Where in South Wales, Karina?
And I agree with every single thing you come out with.
Dear, oh dear, I'm going to have to try harder. Karina, where are you in South Wales?
I'm in Philly, but I'm originally from Coventry, from that end.
Yeah, nice in South Wales, isn't it?
It's all right.
Remember, you're talking to a Welshman.
Oh, God, where are you from, James?
No, my mother was from the Rumney.
Oh, my God, your brother's from the Rumney.
Do you want to speak to my husband? Do you mind?
No, who's that?
Colin.
Hey, Colin, how you doing?
I am not too bad at all, my friend. How are you?
Well, I'm okay. Could be better, but I'm okay. So you're in Rumney Valley as well?
I am in the Rumney Valley all my life, born in Philly, and this is where I'm still situated.
And where do you go at a bank holiday weekend or for a holiday?
Right. Well, let me just say one thing, Sally. I think you're absolutely amazing, and I think the Talk TV as a general is fantastic, and thank God for you lot, because if it wasn't for you, we would be in a bigger bloody mess than we are already in.
Well, that's very sweet of you. The problem is going to be that eventually the government are going to try and crack down on stations like this and a few others.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I think you're absolutely right.
We're just waiting for the day. Can I just share my my childhood stories of going to Porthcawl?
Yes, please.
And surfing on oh golly, what's the big beach? Forgotten the name of it now, but never mind.
Okay.
Near Gulf Bay, the one down from there. Anyway, there's some brilliant beaches at Porthcawl. I've finished now.
But look, well, you take as best as you can, because you all know what is happening. Take care of yourself.
And you, my friend. Thank you very much indeed. It's good to talk. And as long as I can, at least for a little while, carry on doing some work like this, my life is better. Next caller comes from Epsom. Hello.
Hello, James.
Who's that?
My name's Anne.
Anne, how are you, Annie?
I'm okay. I'm okay, Anne. I'm losing the plot. I'm okay, James. And I just would like to say you're an
Hang on,
inspiration.
old man's moving his furniture again.
Okay.
No, carry on, Anne.
You're an inspiration to so many, and my Friday night wouldn't be the same without you.
Oh, well, that's very
Honestly,
sweet.
You are brilliant. And what I wanted to say is about these migrants. I watched, it was like a video thing, and they showed you one in a wheelchair, and it killed a swan, and he was holding it by its wings so they could take it home and cook it. This is what this country's come to.
Yeah. And we're not trying to do anything about it. So the bloke who did will be probably given some money for food and patted on the head and said, oh, there. Sorry we didn't feed you more quickly.
It's a disgrace, James. This country is like a third world country now. And thank God for people like you.
But answer me this, is it what people want?
No, only the little lefties. All the lefties want it. They want them, but they won't take them in their house and give them a room.
No, I wonder why.
Well, exactly. They're all there saying, oh, we welcome you. Well, then take them in your home and give them a room.
I mean, the things that are going on at the moment in Northern Ireland are absolutely terrible. But it seems to me that trouble has been sparked off again by migrants.
Of course, because I think some Romanians raped an Irish girl, and people have had enough. And if it comes to it in UK, I think this will happen in UK, James, if I'm honest.
I hope not, because I think we have a slightly different outlook on life. But I am concerned that, the way things are going, the whole of the United Kingdom is going to have to fight pretty hard to stay as it was.
It is. It's terrible. If your children want to go out somewhere, you're always scared. If you've got grandkids, you're thinking, oh, I won't let them out. These immigrants are standing at the train station, even where I live, and you see the young girls go past, school girls, and they're all calling them, come here. And I think, oh, God, this is terrible.
And it seems that our police are too frightened to do anything about it. They stand by and they watch. I mean, there are some good programs about tough cops stopping people driving badly and everything else. But it doesn't seem to be a matter of reality that when they catch them, that they do anything about it.
No, they don't. They don't care if people are broken into. I had someone kicked my door trying to get in. I rang the police quickly, and they said, well, they didn't get in, so they didn't burgle you, did they?
Yeah, I know. I've heard stories like that before. Listen, Annie, thank you. Thank you for your call. Maybe, hopefully, we'll talk again soon. Let's talk to Norrie in Glasgow. Let's go from let's go from Epsom to Glasgow. That must be 300 miles at least.
That's
Norrie.
Short distance, James. James, the question I was going to ask you, pal, I'm not too clever at filling in forms. If I was I'm speaking hypothetically, if I was a war veteran and I'm out on the street, could you help me to fill in a form for political asylum in my own country so I can get bed, breakfast, lunch, dinner, give me a couple of quid just to get me through my day rather than me sleeping out in the street, freezing cold in the winter, and nobody want to look at me in the direction where I'm sitting. Is that a possible? situation?
It would be a possible situation if we let Lady W do it, because I can't even. Those forms are so complicated and they're so difficult. I couldn't fill one in either. I'm dyslexic, very dyslexic, and
Well,
it
James,
seems to me that the forms are made to make it almost impossible.
well, James, these migrants seem to get all the help they need to fill them in.
Who takes an asylum form?
Well, yes, yeah. They're claiming asylum. They're doing it. Most of it will be done for them, I presume.
Absolutely, James.
Sorry,
James,
I'm
I know.
talking. I'm talking to the font of all knowledge, Lady W, who's sitting here. But you know what? We're coming to a situation where apparently they're going to kick the migrants out of the hospitals. Great, but they're going to give them council houses. So all those people going to be thrown out of council houses are going to have these are in the main, these are at the moment British people. Where are they going to go?
And then what'll happen in these hotels? There won't be hotels anymore. They'll put British people in there, young British families, and there won't be a hotel anymore. This is social housing. They're going to have to pay this, pay that, to keep their house warm, to do furniture, everything you've got. And these other, I was going to swear there, James, can't swear in your show, can I?
Well, I do. You within reason. Anyway, go on.
Accommodation. I'll make sure, and they'll complain if there's a wee problem in the accommodation. They'll complain, James. No, it's not a standard we want. We need to be this standard. And they'll get it.
We've got to a situation now where we are more concerned about how we come across to people, particularly from other countries, than actually retaining law and order here. And it's falling apart.
James, isn't it? We've got to change laws.
Hang on just 1 minute. Darling, if you whisper at me from I can't hear, what?
I'm sorry, I was just saying that the lifeboats aren't available for...
Well, no, the lifeboats aren't available because the lifeboats today, funnily enough, had all been, all of them in the Channel, 3, I think, had been commanded to help with, we took in something like just under 1,000 migrants today down in the south of England. 1,000, which meant that the boats are not available for people who are living in Britain. Listen, mate, I've got to move on, but thank you very, very much. Let's go down to Newcastle upon Tyne. Christine, hello.
Hello, James.
What can I do for you, Christine?
And just say I've been listening to you since the 1970s, since your virtual radio days.
You're as old as me. Where do you live in Newcastle?
I live not far from the airport, a place called Chapel Park.
Oh, very nice. Do you know I haven't been up to Newcastle or the surrounding areas for well over 30 years.
Yes, and a great mate of mine on Facebook is a chap called Giles Squire. And
I know Giles. I work with him.
Yes, exactly. And they all had a get-together a couple of years ago or so now, probably more than that. But I used to work on a hospital radio station up here, and I remember interviewing you. Can you remember the Tyneside Summer Exhibition?
Oh, yeah, I can. It was quite a big do.
Yes, I've got photographs of you in your 30s, and I was probably about 13-year-old then. I just started
with my
radio station at 15. You were probably in your 30s by then, and I'm now 60.
Yeah. Well, listen, you don't sound a day over 60, so you're okay.
Right. Anyway, let's have the font of all knowledge. I'm not out for any. I'm not drunk. I'm not out for any sort of controversy. What do you hope will happen in the future with everything that's going on in the news? I see no end to it at all. I think it's all just doom and gloom.
What do you think, my darling? What do you think?
Me?
The future.
I don't watch the news. It's too depressing.
Do you know, she doesn't watch the news, and she'll tell you she doesn't watch or listen to this show. But when she doesn't have to, but she's chosen to. She's got a bottle of wine and she's relaxing in the corner. But she finds it difficult not to get involved when she does. So that's good.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I work in the NHS and I have done for the last 43 years. I've got to the stage I just can't watch the news anymore.
I think a lot of you're like that, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. It's too depressing.
And if everybody says, look, we've had enough of ruling the world, if you like, because, you know, Britons never shall be slaves and rule Britannia and all of that. And not that we do, by the way, but we seem to be paying for those songs and the history, which a lot of people have got the wrong way anyway. Maybe we should bow out gracefully and let somebody else take over as the mainstay of the planet, because, you know, we've looked after this planet. We've tried to give people a reasonably good life within what we thought was acceptable, but now people are beginning to say no.
I know, it's very depressing. I don't see what's going to happen. I don't see how it's all going to end. It all doesn't sound very good. I think.
Let's not be too depressed. If there's anything good coming, I'll try and pop back and tell everybody.
Well, please do. I look forward to it. But I think whatever happens, you take care of yourself, and it's been lovely to talk to you. I last spoke to you, as I say, probably about 1979, just before you left Metro.
I remember it like it was yesterday. Christine, thank you very much indeed. Shall we take a break now, guys, and then maybe I can come back and take a couple more calls afterwards? Okay. Chinners in Chesington.
Hello,
Chinners.
Lord Whale, how are you?
I'm okay. What can I do for you?
Well, sir, as our Minister of Saving the Whales in Wales, I thought I'd regale you with our new policy on immigration control.
Right.
So what we're planning to do, my lord, is we're going to cease giving the French £150 million a year because they're not controlling the immigration. But what we're going to propose to do is give 0.5% of this money. We're going to give it to the people smugglers to stop them actually bringing the people to Britain. And then what we're going to do with the 99.5% of savings of this £150 million a year, we're going to buy the country some better politicians.
Well, if you could get on to that and start it, that would be brilliant.
I thought you would like that, my lord. And everybody in the party sends their best regards, and keep your chin up.
Thank you very much indeed. Do you know, guys, just before we do take the break, I cannot believe that Sadiq Khan got a knighthood and I didn't.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, welcome back to James Wells Week. This is a little bit of the program we're putting together. Sadly, I'm not well enough to get into the studios at the moment, and as I told you, things getting worse. But I want to work as long as I can. So this is maybe on Fridays how it'll go. Maybe I'm going to do another 10 minutes or so. Biggest problem I have, and I'm going to talk a bit about it on the podcast over next week, and that is breathing. And apparently, even if you don't have lung cancer, breathing can become a bit of an issue, depending upon how your lungs are handling the tumours. But anyway, enough of that. If you want to call us, and I can get in as many calls in 10 minutes as I can, let's go to Lee straight away. There's the number on the screen. If you're listening on Talk Radio, I'm sure you know the number, 03444991,000. Les.
Hi, James.
Hi, it is Les, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I tell you something, my friend. You've been a legend all my life. All my life.
Very nice of you,
I've
Les.
listened to you. I've listened to you every day, every time on the radio. And are you a great friend of James Damage?
James Damage.
James Stanage.
Oh, James Stanage. I remember him. I wouldn't say we were great friends, but I do remember him.
But you were both in the same situation in relation to saying what it is. And I just love you, man. I just love you, man. And
oh, well, that's really nice of you. That's really nice of you.
And at the end of the day, I just want to ask you, if you had to change something in your life, what would you change?
Probably getting cancer, I would think. Anyway, listen, Les, thank you for that. Interesting thing is, I'm just whirring it over in my mind. When I started out, and I started on a radio station in Newcastle upon Tyne, there was a guy called James Stanage, who, excuse me, another problem of having cancer. It brings on indigestion. I remember being in the Sunday papers once for him and me, glaring pictures of each other holding a phone, and the headline was "The Rudest Man on Radio." To which I said, "Well, it's not me. I've never been rude to anyone in my life." But there we are. So I do remember that now, but I haven't seen him for years and years and years. I wonder whatever happened. Okay, number to ring 0344 499 1000. Joe in Leicester.
Hi, James. How you doing?
I'm all right, Joe. How are you?
All right. Can't grumble enough. You know what it's like, James.
Oh, try a bit harder. Do a bit more grumbling. Go on.
No, I'm all right. You got to keep
Good.
going, ain't you?
Well, you have. Otherwise, there's no point in being around, is there?
No. Apparently, we're here for a reason. So you
Come on, Joe. Stop sounding miserable. You'll depress me.
I'm all right, James. Anyway,
Good.
what I wanted to talk to you about, if that's okay.
Well, I don't know yet. You haven't mentioned what it is.
Well, you're talking about the migrant situation. It's obviously one of the main things that's going on in this country and Ireland and whatever at the minute. I, as a woman and a grandmother of girls, am worried about this situation and feel very unprotected by the law and the government. And it's like, if some, you know, where do you go? Who do you tell? What do you do? You know? And the reason I'm saying this to you is because you're so bluntly honest. I think you can give me an answer.
Well, I can give you what would occur to me is, unfortunately, the worst people ever in a couple of generations have got into positions of authority. And if you were to go and talk to your local MP, would give you all the platitudes you need, but mean nothing. I mean, we had on what was it, Question Time last night? I can't remember which minister, but quite frankly, the minister just sat there and blatantly, Darren Jones, that's right, just lied through his back teeth. He came out with, well, the majority of people who come across in the small boats are children and women. Huh. I mean, I'm sorry, but that is a lie.
I don't know what boats he's looking at.
Nor do I. And trust me, the media look for boats with women and children in.
I think there's people out there with their phones investigating it as well, and they can't find any either.
Yeah, yeah. But I think you do right, and I think, you know, everybody takes the mick, including me, out of the police and crime commissioners because we all think they were put in there to just kind of slow stuff down. But I think if people started making complaints to the crime commissioners, things may get moved along a bit. You never know.
I think that
I hear what you're saying, James, but why have we always got to keep complaining?
Hold on one moment.
You
The
know?
font of all knowledge wishes to say something. Yes, darling.
I just said that I think any good mother who's in France would not put their child in a boat to cross the channel and risk their life.
100%.
I agree. They if they got to France, they'd stay in France for the sake of their children. Yeah.
True.
But I think, you know, what you need to do in England is that you need to feel safe first of all, and if you don't, then maybe you need to be talking quite regularly to your MP, whatever persuasion. Maybe you need to get involved. And that's something people aren't doing. Maybe people should be more involved with what's going on in their local areas.
Do you know, James, when you were talking about living in the Rhondda, I've lived in Wales. I've lived in South Wales, near Abergavenny. And I remember my grandparents and visiting them and the family close by. And, you know, everybody was connected. But today, everybody's so busy, nobody's connected.
You're right.
When you've got to work and bring up kids and, you know. So everybody.
There is nobody wants to have a. Sorry?
Everybody sat in their own homes exhausted from their day. You
Nobody wants to be part of the community
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Older generations do because they're used to it. They've grown up with it. But younger generations are different, and I would say probably from the late 70s, 80s, it's changed for women with working and things, you know.
All right, good to talk to you. Thank you very much. Cheer up. Don't let it get you down. If it gets you down, they're winning. Remember that. So you know you need to keep your chin up. It's a bit of a stupid saying, but I think you do. 0344 1000. What did you say there in Birmingham? John in Birmingham. Hello, John.
How are you getting on, James?
All right, John. What can I do for you?
Well, first of all, I want to start by saying you once gave me nightmares when I was about 6 years old. I was poorly.
Well, you shouldn't have been flipping listening to me when you were 6 years old.
You did a sketch about... I was about 6 years old and my mum and dad were watching you. And you did a sketch about a man. I was Paul in the lounge and we were doing a sketch about a man haunting a railway line. And I used to go to the railway line going, where's me leg? Where's me leg? And I had nothing but nightmares about it that evening, and we've always spoken about it as a family.
You know, I'd love to. I can't remember that at all, but I am so sorry if I did. I mean, what I was doing, I've no idea, but yeah.
Never forgot it. Anyway, can I flash forward to today?
Yep.
Borders, we haven't got any. British nationals come last. If we complain, we're branded the problem.
Yeah.
Basically, our public services are full. Basically, we're not asked. I live in an area of Birmingham. The Sun brandished the road close to me as the worst road in Britain. We're full of HMOs, and we're also full of not council-run HMOs, but assisted living HMOs, which the council have no control over. So we've got an old Edwardian house, and it was our first house, and we bought it, and it's lovely. And some lawyers in London bought it, set it up as an assisted living HMO, and now we have a 9-bedroom house right next door to us. They put a 3rd story on it, and the story in the roof, we couldn't do anything about permitted planning, and that overlooks my daughter's bedroom window. So I'm getting a bit emotional on that one. Basically, we just all feel abandoned, don't we? Everybody who's working people, we all feel abandoned by the government. And I think if we look at other countries, history is clear, and people on the margins, people will eventually push back. And that scares me. It scares me. That scares me. What am I leaving for my kids? What we're leaving for their grandkids? It's not a nice situation, not a nice place at the moment, is it?
I mean, it's a terrible thing for me to say. It's an appalling thing. But if you were going to be terminally ill, and I'm going to miss Deanie like absolute mad and everybody else, and that goes without saying, and my listeners and the people who've been with me and everything else over the past, lifetime. But if you've got to be terminally ill and check out, as we all do at some point, I'm quite glad it's now.
I don't know how, I'll be honest, I don't know how to respond to that one.
No, I know. I mean, maybe I should have said it, but do you know what I mean? In a way, I think people have got to start making their voices heard. Not in violent ways, that would be completely wrong. But they have to let, though it's no point in getting an appointment to see your MP and then being shunned off by them. Now, I'm not saying you sit on and go on strike in their office or something, but these people need to be asked probably the same question over and over and over again, because there's no point in going on about the economy. There's no point in going on about, different parts of the country. There's absolutely no point in bothering about climate change, because there won't be anybody who's bothered about it when we get to it anyway. Unless we can have some kind of safety, some kind of assurance that people are going to try and get on. And this whole thing now, this new business about Israel is going to sort the problems of the world out with possibly a nuclear strike, is just absolutely ridiculous. And somebody somewhere has got to rise through the ashes and start making people think about the problems and say they're not going to put up with it anymore.
So my local MP is Paulette Hamilton, and you're not going to get through to her. I took the decision. There's no point stamping about it. I've actually got political in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And try and stop talking about it and actually get involved and try and make a difference. There's no point just being on Twitter and putting tweets out. And you've actually got to do it. You've got to try and make a change the best way you can in your own little way.
Let's see what we can do, my friend. Thank you so much for your call. I'm coming up to the end of Wales Week, and thank you so much. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to do this most weeks. And
all right, man.
God,
hey, look, it's me. Look, we're
again?
here, man. Look, how you doing? That was good. I enjoyed that. Listening to that show, it was good.
You just like the thunder, didn't
Where
you?
was that Ash bloke, though? He's brilliant.
Yeah.
Where's he gone tonight? Yeah. No, it was really good, Bubba. Nice one, man.
What have you got planned for the rest of my show?
Oh, it's a whole smorgasbord. You got to stay tuned, man. Make sure you're watching.
I'm going to have a coffee.
Yeah, man. You go for coffee.
Darling, you can't come here. I've been trying to get to sit next to me all night.
Oh, it's lovely. Anyway, we feel like gooseberries, so look, we'll take a little breaky and we'll see you next week, Bubba. Nice one.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
OK, so, I mean, it's always a bit nerve-wracking introducing James Whale, isn't it, on his own show? And also, I just want to be very, very clear. If any of you think that I'm not as good as James Whale, bear in mind, it's quite hard to be as good as James Whale, not least because he's been around for so long. So, look, what we're going to do, as James said, is every single week, James will come on for some more or less of the show, and we will let him do his Wales week and speak to callers, and then he will finish at whatever time he feels he wants to finish, and I will then take over, and hopefully he will go on for as long as possible, which avoids me doing any work, and of course avoids you having to listen and watch me. But okay, so I want to talk now to a 999 call handler from the Metropolitan Police who's got serious misgivings about police standards, about the behaviour of police staff, and is now suing the Metropolitan Police because of concerns she's got. Now, look, it's Izzy Vine, who's a police whistleblower. Izzy, look, why don't we make it really, really simple and you just explain exactly what happened, because you were a 999 call handler, and what happened?
Yeah, so taking 999 calls, sat next to a colleague, and throughout the course of the shift, he'd made 3 offensive remarks. One, he'd called a rape victim a slut. He then went on to type out on his phone that he'd wish immigrants would F off back to their own country. And then later on in the shift, whilst I was on a live 999 call, he whispered Sarah Everard's turf into my ear as I was taking a live 999 call in the South West London area.
OK, so what happened?
What happened after?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or did you made a complaint about it?
Yeah, so, I mean, I stayed back that evening. I didn't want to report on the night because it was different supervisors. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know if they agree or whatnot. So I hung back. He sort of half followed my journey home, which the Met didn't take into account. But yeah, I went in the next day and I
Sorry, he followed you home?
Yeah, throughout...
Do you think, and look, I'm just going to throw this out, do you think it was a half-hearted attempt to chat you up?
I've always said, like, I feel like if I would have said, do you fancy coming back to mine, he probably would have been like, yeah, which, fine.
Because look, we've all made a fool of ourselves attempting to chat people up, me in particular.
Yeah, but collectively with the comments he made throughout the shift,
Oh yeah,
Like,
no, I get that.
It's just.
I mean,
not my vibe.
calling rape victim a slut is not.
But he's not a policeman. Is it
He's
different?
civil servant as well.
civil servant, right,
Yeah.
right,
So, but I mean, that's another thing that's come out of all of this is that the public don't seem to realise that police officers have a lot of power, but so does staff as well.
Yeah, because there used to be
significant power.
police on the phones. There used to be actual police.
Yeah, there still are now, but I think they're changing that and they're putting them back on the street.
What happened with the Metropolitan Police is generally they'd have police who were injured and couldn't go out on the beat. They preferred police staff simply because of the cost of insuring a police constable and all this sort of thing.
It does
it's
make
better,
sense.
even if you retire from the police and then go and work for the police, it is actually cheaper.
But so what happened? You complained, and how was it? What followed up from that then?
It was just a bit crap, really. For the first month, I didn't hear anything, and then I had to go into work, and then they were asking me to work with him, so that was all a bit crap. And then once it did get underway in an
and he knew
investigation-
you'd complained about him.
Yeah, he knew. But yeah, 6 months from reporting, he was dismissed at Scotland Yard. So was super happy, like really chuffed. They said they had.
And
no...
that was to do with what happened with you.
Yeah, I had to prove certain credibility, give over my phone records of, proving that I'd been distressed and having to ask, because obviously you don't have body worn in a call centre,
Yes,
so
of
I had
course.
no video proof. So I was always a bit like, oh, should I bother even reporting it because I've got no proof? But they did eventually find it proven through likability, a likelihood that it happened, and he was dismissed and life was dandy. And they said, violence against women and girls, we don't have space for men like this in the Met.
And then he was reinstated.
Yeah, and then 4 months later, I'm told he's reinstated because the decision maker who took his appeal thought it was too harsh. The decision maker still believed me, still thought it was misconduct. He just didn't think it was gross misconduct.
I mean, I've got to be honest with you. Sorry, let me just say this to you. You seem like a great person, and we do need more people like you who are dedicated on the phone. But I have to say, I've got some sympathy with the appeal, and I'll tell you why. Because I think to have made 3 offensive comments is misconduct. But this debate about whether it's gross misconduct, and my understanding is that what the person that reviewed the case said was, look, this sort of behaviour is unacceptable. However, should the guy lose his career as a result? I mean, don't you have any sympathy with that argument?
No, not at all. Why on earth would you want someone with those harmful... that harmful language, that misogynistic language, which we all know has proven in past cases.
Because of what they have to do, what they have to deal with that sort of thing.
If your family member was a victim of rape...
On the other hand, what is the totality of the case here? Describing somebody as a slut who's a rape victim, which might be a more general description of the person, because remember, you can be somebody who's promiscuous and be a rape victim as well. Those two things can happen simultaneously. I'm not saying that's what happened.
No.
But then that is Sarah Everard territory. Well, South East London was known as the area that Sarah Everard was injured, was killed in, and then this idea that somebody might be concerned about the level of immigration in the country. I personally, first of all, honestly, I have sympathy with your position, but I just wonder whether the real problem here is it's just super awkward to work with him after you made a complaint. But that doesn't in of itself constitute gross misconduct on his part.
I mean, I don't know what to say to that. I mean, if you don't think that kind of someone's giving you, opening a window to who they are and their mindset, and if people don't understand that, though, if you're going to reward someone and give them their job back,
also the importance of the job. He's not a greengrocer. He's working completely as rape victims. He's not suited to the job.
I mean, would you...
Whether you should uphold his complaint, he's obviously not suited for the job.
And a lot of people have said, well, it's freedom of speech, blah, 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 blah. Fine, you can have that argument, but not within policing.
Yeah, I suppose that's a reasonable point. I suppose what you're saying is, I suppose, is there needs to be a certain sort of person in that job. Yeah. So I guess if you were to turn around and say, the person that did this is a plumber, you might say, actually, all right, fair enough for a plumber, but not fair enough for somebody in the police. So I guess that begs the question. We've heard concerns about the standard of policing in the past. I mean, I think the standard of policing at the moment is pretty appalling. But in terms of the wrong sort of people, I'll give you an example. Yeah. John Palmer, Goldfinger, the man who melted down 50% of the gold at Brinksmat, he was shot 6 times. The police officers and ambulance drivers on the scene didn't bother investigating it as a crime because they said it looked like his gallbladder had ruptured. Now, I don't mean to be rude.
It would do.
I don't mean to be rude to the Essex Police and Essex Ambulance Service, but I think most people who saw somebody being shot 6 times would not conclude it was a gallbladder rupturing. That's clearly corruption. But look, we are going to go to a break. We're going to talk to Izzy, because I have to say, I'm genuinely on the fence on this one, because I think that Izzy makes some good points, but I think there's been some good points made by the Met as well, and she's going to continue to comment. I don't think I've endeared myself in that. Back in a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
So this is James Whale Unleashed with Andre Walker and Asher Gould, and we're joined by Izzy Vine, who's a former... Is it former, or are you still there? Former call handler for 999
You resigned,
calls.
basically.
Oh, yeah.
So look, some people will agree, some people disagree. By the way, I just want to be clear on one thing. If you are going to reinstate the person because it's misconduct, not gross misconduct, don't give the back pay. I mean, suspended with no pay, I think is a reasonable thing to ask. So you and I, we can disagree on whether the person was guilty of misconduct or gross misconduct, but here's my question, because I gave that example of John Palmer, you know, shot 6 times, Essex Police and Essex Ambulance Service described it as a ruptured gallbladder, so didn't bother investigating the scene, which, I mean, I think I would fire the officers concerned, because if you don't know the difference, look, you're either corrupt or stupid, and we don't want those sorts of people. What is your impression of the standards within the police service in terms of not just corruption, but professional standards? I mean, it's clear that my level of tolerance is higher than yours, but you say, no, I'm sorry, certain people should not be there. What's your view on whether we're recruiting the right sort of people?
I mean, I think you hit it on the head there, tolerance. I don't think there should be any space for tolerance in policing. Why would you want to... tolerance is almost sort of like accepting bad things.
Well, they say, they use the defence of, oh, it's dark humour, they go through such turmoil that...
No.
I mean, we saw the horrendous WhatsApp pictures where they swap faces. There is a sort of culture in there, isn't there?
There's no excuse for dark humour. I know a lot of officers and staff who have been through exceptionally traumatic jobs, and they don't have to find themselves joking or taking up here.
What about the sort of the Sweeney type officers? So I had a friend of mine who was in Greater Manchester Murder Squad, and he had seen some horrendous nightmares. And he said at the end of a murder case, we all used to go to the pub quite grim. And he said, you know, sort of 6 pints in, the dark humour came out, and he said he considered that to be a group therapy session.
No, if you're having to sort to offensive, harmful, taking the mick out of terribly tragic events that you're supposed to be dealing with, you're paid to deal with professionally, two things. My personal opinion, you're either a bad person or your force is not providing you the right emotional support.
But what if it, Andre's saying when they're with a drink on their own and not in the workplace? What's your thoughts about that? If it's letting off steam when they're just together?
I still think that's gross. I still think goodbye. But because, can I tell you why? When you're an officer or even a staff, you have to act as you are in office, in job, outside of your job and in a job.
But
so
have you never deflected a stressful situation with an inappropriate joke?
I've never.
I mean, I have plenty of occasions.
There's a joke and then there's harmful.
And did you see
comments.
that a lot in the culture? In the police? It does seem to be a bit of a culture.
What's an example of harmful or hateful comments?
Rape victims are sluts.
Well, do you remember the policeman that murdered the Sarah Everard? They joked it. Oh, the rapist they called him.
Yeah,
and he'd been known that he'd been flashing. It does lead to other things.
It does. It's a little window. If that's something, the Met, and I think society forget that it all stems from language. And once
does it?
Yes, it does. Of course, it does.
I think it's a way of the left to be obsessed with language. I mean, if somebody wants to make an insulting remark against me, it doesn't really bother me. I mean, I've got to be honest with you.
But it's a police officer.
But my Twitter's full of so-called death threats.
They're not police officers taking control of your. Yeah, no, they.
Most of the death threats are from police. No.
But I just wonder whether you're overly sensitive.
No, not at all.
Well, I mean, if somebody whispers in my ear a bit of an inappropriate joke, I wouldn't really care.
I don't think any of the comments that I heard on that shift were a bit inappropriate. I think they were gross, disgusting. I don't want that for my family. I don't want that for any women I know.
Sure.
Was it racist as well as misogynist?
But hang on a second. When you say you don't want it for your family, if I phone up a call centre and somebody says, "Who's that fatty on the other end of the line?" My family aren't aware of it. It's not.
No, but anyone.
I think you're attaching a wider significance.
Because I'll tell you why. No one is exempt from needing to call the police. Anyone can find themselves in a situation where you have to pick up the phone and call 999. I don't want the person answering that phone call to think rape victims are sluts, which most of the time people calling 999 are probably going to be a rape victim. You're not going to call 999 for a laugh. Some people do.
No, sure.
I don't want that to be. I don't want that to be on the other end of the phone. I don't want that.
Finally, what you've only got 1 minute, and thank you so much for coming in. What's your outcome? What's the big win here?
Oh, there isn't a win. There's just a big lose for society. You've got a racist, misogynistic creep working in the
Met. Are you suing? You're in a court case.
I'm taking them to an employment tribunal.
Is he racist because he opposes immigration?
He doesn't oppose immigration. He wished an immigrant would F off back home without knowing any of the circumstances. Okay. That's hateful and harmful. But yeah, I've got 4 cases against them, taking them to court. I've got an organisation now to support whistleblowers, and I don't tolerate anything, and I don't think the Met should. And I worry for society, and I'm not a snowflake.
Excellent. Well, there we have it, and I have to say thank you so much, because I think it is important for people to call to account these sorts of people, and also, to be fair, you've come on these shows and you've come on others to debate and make your case. People will decide. I think either way, I think we can all agree you were right to make the complaint, and clearly the Met have mishandled it. Not unusual for the Met. That was Izzy Vine, who's a former police call handler. We'll be back in a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, well, Rupert Lowe has said that women are less safe in Britain as a result of uncontrolled immigration. I have to say, I've not seen the full statistics, but instinctively, I do believe that that's true. Let's go through this and talk to Saskia Teague, who is the Southwest leader for the Women's Safety Initiative. Saskia, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me on. Thank you.
Well, let's just ask about this, because I think instinctively people believe that uncontrolled immigration has made women less safe. But what evidence have we got to suggest that it's true?
Absolutely everything from the rape gang scandal, I mean, to my own personal experiences, friends. I think people feel that they cannot speak out anymore. You know, they get feared labelled of being a racist, a this, a that, the other. We've got the statistics to back it. You know, 1 in 4 sex crimes are committed by foreign nationals, and per capita they do represent a very disproportionate amount.
I think it's 4 times, isn't it? And in certain nationalities, it's like 40 times, stuff like that.
So here's the thing that I don't understand. So, I mean, I think that some cultures are inferior to others, and I think we're afraid to say that. But I think actually it's not just that. I think, and I've said this before, or Asher and I have both said this before, look, I think you're less likely to rob the local shop if your uncle owns it. I think that most people would agree with that. And so I think that not only do you have people coming from countries where women's rights are not observed in any meaningful way, add to that, you've also got men travelling in on their own, despite what Labour MPs think. I mean, that was just ludicrous. But OK, men travelling in on their own, but also no connection with the area and no reason to care or support the community. Would you agree that it's those 3 things together? I mean, it's not just people from Pakistan are more likely to be rapists. It's much more subtle than that.
It's young men as well, and when they're in, I mean, when I was going on holiday when you're 18, 19, 20, you do stupid things because you're in a new place and it's sort of a mad world, and they don't care about the rules. They see us as weak because we give them everything, so they're just going to have fun and do whatever they want.
Well, this is it. They see us as weak. They come over.
Well, we are weak. I mean, they're right.
I mean, absolutely. There's no wonder why they don't stop in France and they come over to us.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it going on in Ireland at the moment. People just simply aren't going to take this anymore. They do. The facts are, and I know people are frightened to say it, especially women, they come from cultures that do not fundamentally respect women. There are only men on these boats. I feel like I'm just parroting, everything.
But also, if you're not of their culture, if you're not of their religion, then they can do what they want with you. That's what we saw with the rape gangs.
Well, when I was 16, I worked in a school uniform shop, and I had really horrible experiences of Asian men coming in, and they would drop things on the floor purposely, tell me to pick them up. And it was because I was a woman. It's because they do not respect me. And that was the start of it all for me, realising the people that we are importing over here, not all, I'm not saying that you can't migrate and build a life and settle somewhere else, but what we're seeing now is just absolutely...
What I don't understand is the apology culture. So we turn around and say, we're bringing these 1 million people to the country, of which... 800,000 are a complete waste of time. 200,000 will get a job, but 800 on the social. Also, they're from backward countries. Also, they can't speak the language. Also, they mistreat women. But we must save them from Syria. And you think, why must we save them from Syria? Why does Birmingham have a duty to hand over its city to a bunch of people from the third world who don't give a toss about Britain? I mean, it doesn't bother me if Libyans continue to live in Libya.
I mean, I do agree with you. I think there's too much onus these days. We must take everybody in. We saw it with Ukraine. We must take everybody in, but through that, we're putting our people, our culture last. What about protecting what we've got? Do you know what? I'm sick of turning on the TV and seeing about Ukraine, Palestine, and all the rest of it. It's never about the British people. You never hear about the struggles of what we are going through. It's always some other country. And whilst I completely understand there are countries and people going through the most devastating things at the moment, what about us? There's no thought. It's all what about
But they don't
them?
actually care. I don't think they're a nationalist government. They're sort of a world government, and this seems to be going on all over the world. What do you think is leading to it?
I think I think what we've got going on at the moment, I think it's bigger than just Labour and Conservatives. I think it's bigger than just the Uni Party. I think, you know, if you look back to the days of Theresa May, she signed something awful, the UN Migrant Compact, which basically means the floodgates are open. You know, people can sit there and say, you know, Labour, Tories, Tony Blair started it. The Tories have kept the floodgates open. I don't trust reform. I don't trust Labour, and I don't trust the Tories until a party does something that they are going to say, I don't want to hear it. And I think it's a bigger globalist agenda.
Exactly.
To get us, it's part of such a bigger picture. It's not just Labour, Conservatives. It's part of such a bigger.
Well, you can see in the States how Donald Trump is beginning to sort it out, and all the kerfuffle, you know, that's happening there. But that's the one country where, well, I mean, Poland is sorting it out. We can see the countries that are sorting it out, and all the left countries are the ones who are facing the problems. It's stark. Well,
this is it. I know that America refused to sign the UN Migrant Compact, and you know they're able to now sort it out. You know, we need somebody like Trump over here who is, you know, isn't.
What you need to do is we need to enforce the actual rules. Let me look at a world map now, because forgive me, my geography's not great. I believe that we should take people from our neighbouring countries. Those neighbouring countries are, so if there is a war in Iceland, Ireland, France, Belgium, the Benelux countries, Germany, Denmark, Norway, maybe Sweden at a push. Okay, and maybe Spain if you want. So those are countries that we should take migrants from if there's a war in those countries. So you should go to the nearest safe country. Now, if you are an Afghan, you have to go through Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Georgia, Russia, Ukraine, Romania, Moldova, all of the EU countries in order to get to Britain. Now, okay, some of the countries that I've listed there are not safe. I get that. But you have to stop at the safest one. Now, if you want to leave Nigeria and you've gone to Niger, Libya, Egypt, Israel, Turkey, Bulgaria, Romania, Greece, all of the countries in the Balkans, all the EU countries, if you've gone through all of those countries and none of them can give you safe refuge, you are welcome in Britain. But what I don't like is you go, there's a war happening, well, there isn't one in Albania, but okay, we're not going to go to the neighbouring country, which, by the way, more on Albania in a moment. We're not going to go to the neighbouring country. What we're going to do is go through a brochure and say who's got the best benefits and move there permanently. But there is an interesting point, by the way, Saskia, about Albania. Because, in a sense, this is where it started. In the Balkan Wars, Albania was desperate to take Kosovans in. Just to explain to those of you that don't know, Kosovans are ethnic Albanians. They speak Albanian, they worship the same religion, etc., etc. So, most Kosovan refugees went to Albania, but some of them got flown around Europe. Now, Kosovo, an independent country, would take in people from Albania. But of course they don't go to Kosovo because it's poorer than Albania. And this is what annoys me. People are literally going, there's a war here, leave the women and kids and decide who's got the best benefits. Well, that's the other thing.
We never, asylum seeker isn't for males to leave a war zone. They're meant to stay and fight. Asylum is for subjugated racial groups or women and children, like in Ukraine, but obviously not Gaza for some reason. And it's not for just loads of young blokes go, oh, there's a war, you better get out. No, that's not the point of asylum. That's just, you got to fight.
That, as Asha points out, that whole transaction, Saskia, of going, there's a war in my country, there's a risk of my family being murdered, so all the blokes are leaving and the women and children are
meant to go and get their guns and fight.
Nobody would do that. How could anybody possibly believe that's actually what happened?
But this is what, you know, I find concerning. We've got people in this country that believe it. You know, they stand there with their refugee welcome banners. These people aren't real refugees. They're not genuine asylum seekers. You know, you ask.
Well, some are terrorists. We've already seen that. We don't know how many sleeper cells from Iran are here.
You ask one of those people in a refugee, you know, let them all in. Will you take one home? No, they won't.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing that right. There were three. I've said this before, so apologies for being repetitious. There were 3 occasions when there might have been a genocide in recent years in the United Kingdom. There was Ukraine, where the Russians were largely stopped. There was Gaza, where the Israeli Defence Force did their best to prevent civilian casualties. And also, there was the far larger risk, which was the invasion by Azerbaijan of the Christian territory of Nagorno-Karabakh or Artsakh. Right. Had there been a genocide of the Armenians, which, by the way, has happened before with the Turkish diaspora, had that happened, we would not have had enough space to take in the Armenian Christians on the basis that all the hotels were full of Afghans and Kosovans where there is no war.
I think going more back to, I don't know, where I'm coming from. I mean, I want to bring up the Women's Safety Initiative.
Yes.
Because it's so very, very important to me, because it's all about making women feel okay to speak out about what they are going through. Women are so unbelievably frightened.
Well, you can't go out at night on public transport, which women used to do quite safely, reasonably safely.
I mean, when I travel to London, I'm keeping my phone in my bag. I'm constantly alert of where I am. I couldn't go on a walk in my own area for 6 months.
What problems have you had? Because I know Anna McGovern, who works at your organisation, and Jess Gill, the founder, has had problems. What problems have you found when you're out on the streets?
So I went. I've lived where I've lived for 23 years, and I went on a walk last summer.
Where is it, by the way?
I live in Gloucestershire.
Gloucestershire. Yeah, you don't have to name the town, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I live in Gloucestershire, and I went on a walk. I've lived here for 23 years, and I went out, and 2 foreigners, they didn't speak any English. They approached me, they laughed at me, they jeered at me, they made me walk through them. I felt so intimidated, I ran home. I didn't want to call the police, because what are the police going to do? They don't care. The police do not serve the British people anymore. That's a well-established fact.
They protect those people, in fact.
Say that again, sorry.
They protect the people. In fact, I saw a video today of a guy, a migrant hotel. You know, you get these reporters who are sort of on YouTube, and this guy came out and threw a hot coffee on him, and he showed the police the video. They refused to arrest the guy just throwing coffee on, and the bloke said, well, if I'd thrown coffee on him, were you going to arrest me? And they said, yes. I mean, that's black and white, two-tier policing right there.
Correct.
It's all, it's all double standards, and I think for years, it's gone on and on and on. It's escalated now, where something, I feel like, again, I'm parroting, something has to be done, and I think it's only going to take the will of the people to do something. Labour aren't going to do anything, Conservatives aren't. I'm very sceptical about reform. It's going to take a movement like this to do something, because they're not going to do anything. They've had chance. The Tories could have stopped this.
But isn't the solution to this problem not my solution, not Ash's solution, not Talk's solution, and certainly not yours? The solution is to brand you far right and say this problem doesn't exist.
Put you on the prevent list.
I don't care about the labels anymore, and I've said this on my platform before. The more labels, the better. Not because I think they're true, but because they're obviously an indication that whoever's calling me them knows I'm speaking the truth.
And they become meaningless when you call everyone far right. We just go, you're just ridiculous.
I'll tell you what I wanted. I once saw a photo of Pete Waterman's office, the famous record producer, and he had all the gold discs and platinum discs all over the wall. What I want is a referral to Prevent from every police force in the country, and a non-crime hate incident reported, and I'll frame them all and put them up in my office.
I don't care about labels anymore. They mean nothing. They mean absolutely nothing to me. They're just a bigger indicator.
Well, they've made them mean nothing. Now being called racist means nothing, so actually real racist people just get away with it.
I mean, that is the sad fact, isn't it? Because now, if you were to say to somebody, I'm concerned that this person is a Nazi, I think maybe 20 or 30 years ago, people would have taken genuine action. Today, they'll have gone, oh, it's just some bloke that disagrees with you. And there are genuine Nazis out there. But of course, they will now get away with it.
But this is the thing, I've gone through the education system, and it's been absolutely horrendous. And a lot of lefties went to a left-wing grammar school, and there was so much onus on, don't be a racist, don't be this. They put so much protection on
white privilege,
Yeah, but they've taken away the very meaning, the genuine atrocities surrounding racism. They've taken away the impact. Years ago, like you said, if you said to somebody they're racist, you would probably think, oh my goodness. You don't think that now, because it's just you just
think you're a woke prat when they say it now,
they don't care. It means nothing to them.
Yeah. Thanks then, Saskia. That was brilliant. We'll have to get her on again.
Okay, that's Saskia Teague. She's the Southwest leader for the Women's Safety Initiative. Apparently there isn't a problem. She's just a far-right extremist. And if you believe that, you're definitely stupid enough to work in Darren Jones MP's office. More next.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, because it's Friday night and because James Whale is only going to do the beginning of the show, we're going to bring back the old show that I used to do on Saturday nights. That was the woke that was, but we're going to do it with a lower budget, in a worse studio, and with only one guest.
Haven't we got the rabbit, the woke rabbit?
The spirit is there. Over the next few weeks, we will build this up. But obviously, I'm just conscious that because James Whale isn't here, you know, we need to bring something to the table. OK, so we're going to go through the craziest stories of the week, and we're going to decide at the end what we think is the Wokerati winner of the week. And do you know what I'd love to do? Do you know, nobody likes this idea, but why don't we should send the Order of Lenin every week to the biggest loony of the week. Anyway, we're joined by Anna McGovern, who ironically is also from the Women's Safety Initiative, but is a political commentator, and very much having run into the studio.
Yes, I have.
Why have you been running?
It's been a bit crazy with the travel tonight, but I made it in the end.
What's going on?
I think there was just like lots of delays with where I was coming from, trains being held up, but I made it.
You made it, man. You made it.
Okay, so why don't we go? So we'll go round. I will start with the first story. Okay. So the deputy leader of the Green Party has admitted to performing hypnotherapy to enlarge women's breasts. God. Okay.
Apparently that does work now.
His name's not Zach Polanski, is he? Right, okay. So, okay. And he's not related to
Does it
Roman
work on any
Polanski.
other body parts?
Right, okay. Well, let's hope that Zach Polanski is no relation, because this could get very bad very quickly. Okay, Zach Polanski, the deputy leader of the Green Party. They've got two leaders. Why do they need a deputy? Focus, Andre. Okay, Zach Polanski, the deputy leader of the Green Party, has admitted to performing hypnotherapy to enlarge women's breasts in the past. In a 90-minute session, allegedly costing £222, women were told
Three little ducks.
Women were told to visualise themselves with bigger breasts. He said that he had a varied life experience before becoming a politician, adding that he'd also been a barman, a waiter, a nightclub doorman, and actor. All of that is barman, isn't it, right? All of those is just the same job. He's just separated it out. So,
does it work, though, in the first place?
Well, why are you asking her?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you spoke to your friends about it.
He's actually campaigning to be the leader of the Green Party at the moment. He's launched this big campaign.
I'm keen for him to win.
He's promised everyone will have bigger breasts if they come into government.
I mean, I hope he does win, because then Greens will never. I mean, they're not going to get into power anyway.
They might overtake the Conservatives, though.
Huh?
They might overtake the Conservatives.
What, the Green Party? I mean, to be fair, I think people are just so disparaged. They're so disparaged by the Conservative Party. I wouldn't be surprised at this point. They'd look for anything else. But yeah, with him, I know he's launched a big campaign to be the leader of the Green Party. I know with his messaging as well, what he's tried to do is put forward the Green Party message, but also encapsulate the style that Nigel Farage is doing into like how powerful they are.
By liking big breasts. I mean, to be
that's
fair,
just embarrassing.
That is encapsulating Nigel Farage.
So
I love that when they go, Nigel, do you believe in the family? Well, I'd be a bit of a hypocrite if I said, because I mean, he's on about his fifth, isn't he?
I remember reading about this. I believe it was a Sun journalist who went undercover to one of his sessions, and then that's when the story broke and this all came out. But I just think it doesn't add any credibility to him having this, does it? And then he's a campaigner.
Well, I mean, it is a serious hypnotherapy, you know, just have some...
To enlarge women's breasts. It's just weird.
It must work in some cases.
If he's somebody who's obsessed with science, I mean, I believe climate change is a religion, not a science, but if he believes that you can think yourself into having bigger boobs, then... he really does have a problem with science, doesn't he?
Well, it's going to have a placebo effect, isn't it? Because I've heard that some men, when their wives are pregnant, start lactating.
And it says here, so 90-minute sessions allegedly costing £222.
Yeah, why so specific? Why not just say 230, 200, 250, 222? Look in the eyes, your breasts are getting bigger.
It's price rhetoric. Look into the eyes. Look around the eyes, not around the eyes, right under. When you wake up, you'll believe you've got bigger breasts. 3, 2, 1.
Maybe that's it. Maybe they just believe they've got bigger breasts, and that does the trick. Because body dysmorphia, it is a psychological thing. So maybe it just just psychologically sorts them out.
No, because your bra is a specific size, isn't it, Anna? Therefore,
that's very personal question. It's actually adjustable.
It's like me, right? I've often talked about the fact I'm a Freemason, and you have to wear this apron, right? Like ancient stonemasons. Now, what you have to do, because we only meet 4 times a year, you have to see whether the apron is loose, tight, whether you have to adjust it or whatever, and that works out how big your belly is, doesn't it? And how much it's altered in size. If you go, my boobs are bigger, they fit into the same bra, then you're going to start questioning it, I would suggest.
I mean, I just question about the women who actually were going to these hypnotherapy sessions and spending that amount, £222, to be told, yes, I will make your
Well, if there's anyone out there who's had it done or knows someone, give us a ring on 03444, because, you know, if it works, it works.
It's like that. Have you seen that Harry Enfield sketch, I Saw You Coming, which is about the antiques dealer in Notting Hill, where it just goes, oh, you're thicko, are you? And she goes, yeah, I'm thicko. Are you underfulfilled and married to an investment banker? Yeah, right. Look at this old piece of junk. I got it from a tip, £7,000. Oh, yeah, that looks so distressed. Has it been distressed? Yeah, it's been left outside for 6 months.
Oh,
right, okay. So what have you got, Asher?
Right, this one. Banning skirts in school would be a ridiculous uniform change, and it's interfering with education. And this story is the move to ban girls from wearing skirts in schools has sparked a heated debate. Several schools across the UK have announced plans to adopt trousers-only policy, citing the persistent issue of girls rolling up their skirt. Well, you just send them home. That's what you did in the old days.
Also, it says Fred Longworth High School in Tilsley, which is in Lee, not Wigan, have said that they are considering replacing skirts. I will just say one thing, having had friends who went to Fred Longworth High School, skirt, no skirt, don't go there, it's rubbish. It is a rubbish school.
Anna, skirts, ban them or not? Are you a skirt fan?
It's a bit of a weird stance to take, banning, young...
Maybe they were worried, because I remember this school, they banned boys from wearing shorts, so they all came in skirts, and maybe now with all this...
Yeah, but the slight problem with that, Asher, was it was in Scotland, right? In Scotland, it is ludicrous to ban boys wearing skirts in school, because it's called a kilt up there.
I mean, when I went to school, we didn't actually have a uniform. You could wear whatever you wanted, within reason. You could wear any...
That was when the rot started setting in.
You could wear your own clothes.
So you went to private school?
I did go to private school, yeah.
And there was no uniform?
It was like a college, it was an independent college, so you could, wear your own clothes, as long as it wasn't revealing, of course. But I think it's just a bit of a weird stance to take, because I think with schools, I mean, it's preparing you for the working world. You're going to have to dress, professionally. And it's just a bit of a weird stance to take, banning young girls from wearing skirts, especially when it's the summer months as well, yeah.
But quite a lot of girls like wearing trousers, though, don't they?
We'll give them the choice. If they want to wear trousers, you can wear trousers, but they ban them from wearing skirts.
But look, the problem is the schools that are doing this are all going to be crap, aren't they? They are going to be the crap schools. They are. I mean, it's not like Cheltenham Ladies College is panicking about this, is it? It's Fred Longworth High School in Wigan. Like, I mean, I'm not being funny about Fred Longworth High School. At least name it after someone famous. I mean, like,
who's Fred Longworth anyway?
Right, I'll tell you what. Let's find out who the hell is Fred Longworth. Right. Well, while we find out who Fred Longworth is, Anna, you've got your story.
Next story.
Okay, the next story. What is it? We're getting the next story up.
The one that you chose in advance, Anna. Don't pull back the curtain.
No. So peers criticise £9.6 million House of Lords front door. So it's about the front door of the House of Lords.
£9.6 million for a front door.
It's a very expensive front door at the House of Lords. So the peers entrance began a multi-year security upgrade in 2023, but is still not fully accessible for disabled peers and requires a permanent member of staff on site to press the button to open the door.
That's cheaper than 9.6 million. We will pay for the person to open the door rather than pay 9.6 million for an automatic door.
I've never heard of a door that's that expensive.
I'll tell you something. I went through that door once. They bloody kicked off. They went, "You're not allowed here." I went, "All right, fine." They said the punishment for a commoner being on the pier staircase is sentenced to death. Apparently, traditionally. But then Black Rod came up. It's not the current one, and he said, "Yeah, but we only normally like to do that to lefties. So I was like, yeah. But
Baroness Smith said the cost of the door rose from initial 6.1 million estimate due to the cost of keeping the entrance operational during works and heritage issues at the Palace of Westminster UNESCO World. I mean, it's a nice door, but 9.6 million, I could probably get it done for about 30 grand. I mean, it's a lovely big Tudor door. How many migrant hotels, how much do their doors
Right,
cost?
I'm sorry,
Who's
but
funding this door?
It's not even double glazed.
I'm sorry to everyone, but this is damning. Right, if you Google, here we go. Oh no, look at this. Who was Fred Longworth? Sir Fred Longworth was a local councillor, union secretary and miner. Oh my God.
Oh, no.
Right, next story. Iraqi asylum seeker says he can't be deported because mysterious TikTok lover's family will kill him if he leaves Britain. An Iraqi asylum seeker fears he'll be murdered if he's deported from Britain after the family of a woman he had an 18-month TikTok fling with. So he just sort of did things over TikTok. He threatened to kill him. The unnamed man told a tribunal, you're from that generation, what's a TikTok fling?
I've never heard of a
Even Anna
TikTok
doesn't
fling
know.
before. I wouldn't know.
I mean, I think it's like, you sound hot, lol. And
they do a dance to the camera.
Yo, so sexy, lol.
Modern day relationships.
What are you touching at the moment? I'm holding this. I wish you were holding that, lol. I mean, it's just, God, it's pathetic.
Anyway, it was a refuse, but now he's appealing it, so he'll probably win in the end, and we'll be paying for him for the rest of your life. I mean, 1,000 nearly got here today. That's 40 grand a year each. That's 40 million just on the boats today.
Well, it says the unnamed man told a tribunal the family of his mysterious female lover vowed to slaughter him back in his home country. So I don't think it's
Well, we've all got slaughtered before today, but probably not in the Middle East.
Not in Iraq.
I'll tell you what I did once. I remember I was walking through Salford, and this bloke walked up to me and went, "Excuse me, can you tell me where this is?" He didn't say it in that accent, but I won't. And it was, "This is your appeal against deportation. You must come at 10 a.m. or the hearing will take place without you." And I thought, right, here we go. Go up there for about 5 miles, turn right, then you have to do the second left, round the roundabout, over the bridge. I just made up. I said, this was like 9:30, so we only had half an hour to get there. I said, it's about a 25-minute walk. So I was hoping that by the time he realised, he wouldn't be able to go for his appeal.
Oh, no.
I'll tell you what, if Richard Harmer was here, he'd kick off about that.
Oh, yeah.
Disgusting, deforming right-wingers on talkTV were mocking people attempting to have an appeal against their sentence.
Oh,
shut
dear.
up. Shut up. Right, my one. An 88-year-old woman woke up inside her own coffin after mistakenly being declared dead. An 88-year-old woman is pronounced dead, woke up inside her own coffin after a huge mistake from a coroner. In a situation that would make anyone claustrophobic, the woman woke up and avoided the possibility of being buried alive. They reckon that there is a time in Britain where 10% of people buried were buried alive.
They used to have little bells with cords on in Victorian times,
How
so they
would
could
you not
ring it.
know that she's...
Well, some people can just go into a sort of coma, I suppose.
Oh, I'm sorry. Once again, I'm a member of the Freemasons. Some of them might have been dead for years, and you wouldn't know. I mean, I remember watching. Do you remember that film Sixth Sense, where the kid goes, "I see dead people all the time. They don't know they're dead." And I used to go, "Yeah, I've been for a pint in Maidenhead Conservative Club."
No, my mates. Well, I was at Glastonbury back in the 90s, and my mates thought I just was dead in the field, and so they just went, "Oh, well, we'll just go." And I woke up, and
What they do now, by the way, just to confirm
Nice
for
mates,
everybody,
that is.
what they do now is they slit your jugular, drain the blood out, and pump you full of formaldehyde.
Lovely.
So believe me, in Britain, you'll be very much dead when you
will
get
be
buried.
after that,
There
yeah.
is no danger whatsoever.
Right, we've got a little break here, haven't we?
Okay, let's go to a break, and after that, we're going to continue to go through the wildest, the craziest, the stupidest stories, because that was the woke that was.
the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
So to Craig in Sunderland, yes, I'm a WM of 3624. Okay, so let's talk about James Whale just for a second. So James Whale is at 99,100 and something people following him on Twitter. Let's get him to 100,000. So all you have to do is
call the bot farm in India.
It's at the. Should we actually do that? Yeah, okay. We've got somebody's made the point that across platform we've got like 100,000 people listening, watching, whatever. The James Whale, come on, let's start following him. Right, do it. I'll tell you what I'll do. If you follow me as well, I'll read out your name and follow Ash. I don't know, right?
At Virtual Ash.
Anna McGovern,
right.
UK.
So the reason is I don't think I can see who his most recent followers are. I'm sure there's a way of doing it.
At the James Whale.
No. I'll tell you what we'll do. If you follow James Whale, we will read out your name next week on the show, and James Whale can give us a list of some of the names, and we will list you and thank you for doing it.
That's a Keir Starmer promise.
That's the best way of doing it.
Very reliable.
Okay, Anna. Right, give her a second to read it. What have you noticed in the press this week, Anna?
It's my story.
Yeah.
Jaw-dropping decision sees asylum seeker avoid deportation due to Facebook friends.
My jaw is dropping.
Wow. So the court heard the man had many Facebook friends.
That's a good reason not to deport him, yes. I've got many Facebook... Well, it doesn't matter where he is, he can contact them. So he's making it worse for him.
So the asylum seekers avoided being deported for Britain after claiming the number of Facebook friends he had would put him at risk of persecution if he returned to Iran. So according to The Telegraph, the 39-year-old has won his right to have a claim to remain in the UK reheard after a judge found the large number of Facebook friends the man had required more consideration.
Why?
That's a very good question.
Because now that Iran, they may be destroyed, they're all legging it out, the Republican Guard and all that lot, and there might be a revolution. Are all the Iranians going to go back there if it's all sorted? No, they won't, will they? They won't.
I'll tell you what, I remember when...
That's not refuge,
when
is it?
Our friends in India, Pakistan and Bangladesh didn't fully understand what a Facebook friend was. I joined this group saying, no, Iqbal, I don't want to accept your friend request. Because there was like sort of thousands of people, wasn't there, who just sort of followed anyone. By the way, I love this story, the way at the bottom, simply the words are printed which said, celebrities who have strange pets. There's some sort of weird printing fault there. So if you have apparently 2,500 friends and you're Iranian, under Article 3 of the European Convention of Human Rights, you are defended because of your right not to be persecuted.
Yeah, but have you seen what else it says? Because they obviously said, well, just cancel your Facebook account. But they said, their defence was, they also argued it would not be proper for the man to delete his Facebook account where he has more than 2,500 friends. It's took him a long time.
But why is it the number of his Facebook friends,
he's very popular.
Anna, could it be that he's just making up an excuse to be able to say?
It's actually a better...
mass add lots of people then in that case,
but it's better, which is the worst excuse, the chicken nuggets. I mean, they're trolling us at this point. We've got a politicised judiciary.
No, they're not. They're not trolling us. Basically, the immigration lawyers are saying, you make up any old shit and we will let it fly.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what's happening here. I've never heard of such a ridiculous reason in my life.
No, what about the running over of a cat? Sorry. The guy, I think, ran over a child and he said, you can't deport me because my cat will be sad.
My cat will be sad.
Yeah. Now, to
There's
be fair...
nothing worse than a sad cat,
people keep getting in touch saying that story's not true. Let me tell you, not only did Theresa May's Home Secretary highlight the story, but also he did list as one of his reasons for saying in the UK, my cat would be sad, and he was allowed to stay in the UK. Now,
the cat is very happy.
Ken Clark claimed that there were other reasons why he'd been allowed to stay. But anyway, Asha, what have you got next?
Well, this is interesting. Woke Football Club beg fans for 120 grand to escape going bust after becoming the only team to pay their women's team the same as their men. Lewis FC have been forced into begging fans for the money. They're known to be the only site to pay women. The same as the men. They've begged their fans to raise 120 grand. The East Sussex side, which has been labelled woke for providing equal pay for both genders, issue an urgent plea for financial support to keep the club running. I mean, I don't really see the problem. It's not like they're a top team that are financially, you know, the men are making a lot more money. This is a sort of semi-professional.
But everybody knows in entertainment it's related to the amount of money you bring in.
Well, exactly. But do the men and the women probably don't make that much difference in Lewis?
Well, no.
If it was a Man United, obviously you've got to pay.
Well, I think generally, I think men's football is just more popular than women's football.
If the women
maybe not in Lewis.
If the women were bringing in enough to financially wash their face, then the club wouldn't be going bust. But it can't surprise anybody watching and listening to this that Julia Hartley-Brewer earns more than me. The reason is she's got a bigger show, she's got more ad revenue, she has a higher economic value than I do. The Manchester United men's team has a bigger economic value than the Manchester United women's team. If that ever swapped over, then it would be ludicrous.
Yeah, but what about a low-level team like Lewis? The men's team probably don't make that. They might even cost more. I mean, it might be. So it may be.
I mean, look, all I can say is if the women's team are so financially viable, they wouldn't be going bankrupt.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think at the end of the day, it's what's the most popular, and if the men's football is more popular.
I mean, Asher makes a point. Lewis FC are probably not that popular.
It'd probably be more of a novelty to see the women, wasn't it? I mean, during the 30s, women's football became very popular, but women were built different back then. They come at you with a rolling pin, don't you remember, if you read in the B-note?
Right, well, in that case, so should we go through these stories and decide which we think are the important ones? And by the way, you are welcome. Well, you can't phone up because there are no slots available, which drives me bananas. But anyway, let's not get into that story. Okay, so let's do
we need a clapometer or something?
Right, I'm not going to explain
get
the
your
technical
buttons ready. Everyone's got a button.
Okay, so should we say if this was to be in your top three, let's think about what your top three is. Green Party enlarged breasts. That's got to be in the top three.
I think that has to be in the top three.
Yeah. 9.6 million for the House of Lords front door. That can't be the most egregious waste of money in that building. So I'm putting that out. Banning skirts. I'm on Iranian asylum seeker can't be deported because of his TikTok love affair. That's got to be in the top three. Yeah. Woman found inside her own coffin. No, that's out.
That's just a very serious matter.
Man who had too many Facebook friends to be deported to Iran. I think that's in. And the woke story about Lewes Football Club, we're not sure about. So
the Lewes Football Club.
Lewes Football Club. Lewes, I think it is. Okay. The one about Fred Longworth High School in Wigan, we're getting rid of. So, okay. So, what are we going to do? I have to say to you, I think the most ludicrous story of the week is the Iraqi asylum seeker who can't be deported because he had an affair with somebody on TikTok. Yes?
Yes.
Secondly, is the Green Party leader who believes that he can hypnotise you into having larger breasts.
Potentially future leader.
I actually believe that can happen, though.
And thirdly, the asylum seeker who avoided deportation because he was so popular on Facebook. Are we all agreed?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah,
okay, so that is locked in. So I think we should go to a break, happy in the knowledge that we have sorted all this out. And we're going to say goodbye to Anna. No, before we do that, Anna, how long did it take you to get in and explain your journey today?
Oh, it's been
bear in mind, we only nationalised the railways last week. So let's just confirm.
Well, actually today I was coming from Reading, but there was just multiple incidents, delays. There's actually lots of police around on the high street, which I don't know if that was related or what was.
So when you go to Reading, do you do the long one or the slow one? Do you go via Slough or do you go via
I managed to get the quick train, so it's direct to Paddington.
Really?
And then I had a bit of chaotic. I actually missed one of my stops on the tube.
Next week it's Royal Ascot, and you know what everyone does? Everyone goes from, I mean, I'm not getting the train, I'm getting a helicopter, but if you were getting the train, man of the people, but if you were getting the train, everyone says you should go from Waterloo direct to Ascot. I think they're wrong. I think you go from Paddington to Reading and then Reading back.
Ooh.
You know, when I was on the train tonight coming in, this woman said, "Oh, excuse me." Actually, I don't know what she told me. She goes, "I just saw a man with a bottle and he lit the top." And I said, "Well, that sounds like a petrol bomb." I said, "There's been a bit of disturbances." And then I said, "Well, look, if when you light the petrol bomb, you then throw it. So and there hasn't been an explosion last couple of minutes. So I think we're all right. But it was a bit of a strange thing.
The strangest thing that ever happened to me, I was coming on that train from Reading, and there was a disabled lady. I'm a walker, not just by surname. You know those people who like to walk the last bit of the journey on the train. So you're right at the front of the train when you get off. It's quite irritating, and people always start to have a go at you for being in first
And you
class.
fall over, don't you? You fall into trains.
I woke up with this old man in my face.
That happens quite regularly for other reasons.
But there was this disabled lady who obviously was quite engaged with the media, and she turned around and she said, "Excuse me, can you help me get my friend off the train who's in a wheelchair?" And the two people helped her off, and she looked up, and you could see her thinking, that's A, Andre Walker, and B, Len McCluskey. You know Len Matrotsky, the trade unionist, right?
I've not actually heard of him before, to be fair.
So basically, the most vile communist in Britain and the most sensible...
But he's quite pleasant in his voice and everything. You think he's a nice guy, don't you? Nice, gentle man, but actually, you know, they're the most dangerous.
I mean, if you were engaged in media, I mean, I don't know what it's like to take magic mushrooms, but having Andre Walker and Len McCluskey help you off the train has got to be a bizarre moment for anybody. Anyway, Anna McGovern, thank you so much for coming in. Good luck on your trip back to Reading.
Yeah, run now.
And we will be back just in a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
OK, so what we're going to do for the next couple of minutes, we're going to take phone calls right until the end of the show, but also we're going to ask everyone to comment on whether they believe that you should be allowed to stay in Britain because your TikTok lover has offended other people from your community. Cindy is in Michigan. Cindy, have you ever had a TikTok lover?
Never.
Okay.
I think that is so ridiculous.
I think what you should do is claim asylum in the United Kingdom when you come over, and claim that.
I think I need to come on a boat so I can get a free.
Yeah, you can live with Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen DeGeneres.
You know, it might work out better. I'd save a whole lot of money if I just crossed the channel.
That's right. You get everything paid for.
What's going on with you guys?
Well, it's like what's going on in California. Hey, look what's going on there. They've got it even worse there.
Know, Trump's trying to do his job.
At least they're doing something. Yeah, he's cracking a few eggs.
Are fighting back, like he's doing something wrong.
It's like
sending
treason.
help.
The governors there are like traitors, aren't they, to America?
Of course, the most bizarre story of them all was obviously the border of the United States of America to Mexico and the border of Texas is the same border. So when Biden refused to secure the Mexico border, the governor of Texas put up a border fence and the Biden administration tried to take it down. So it's not that they couldn't afford the border, they didn't want to secure America.
Yeah.
They didn't want to, and that's why we have the problem we are having right now. And New York is way worse.
Yeah.
Stores are closing down because
they're
of
all sanctuary cities, what they
shoplifting.
call them. But we've got that as our general government.
It's a free-for-all, and it's got to stop. So Trump is like, hey, I'm going to call the National Guard, put my foot down, and the states...
And the Marines, he brought the Marines in.
Yeah, but they're fighting. They're putting lawsuits against this, saying it's against his powers.
They will. That's the lawfare. They always try.
WTF?
It's not going to work, though.
Ridiculous.
It's not going to work.
And I wanted to talk about the 7 Asians that were convicted for the sexual assault of the 2 young ladies. Why did it take over 20 years?
What are you talking about?
This is outrageous. These 7 Asians that were convicted.
Oh, right. Well, there's plenty more that have got away with it. There's been a cover-up in this country from very powerful people, a lot of them in Labour positions who are now actually in power. There's a lot of council members who are all in on it, and police in on it, and gangsters in on it.
Yes, I think they're in on it, and they're involved, and they don't want their names to be released.
I think what's happened in this country is we've got significantly better at covering up grooming, and of course, as you know, Islamic blasphemy laws have now come in the United Kingdom. Now you can I guarantee you very quickly they will not be interested in not offending the religion of Islam, which, by the way, I also don't want to offend the religion of Islam because I've got a great deal of time for my Muslim friends and neighbours. It will all be about protecting that community, protecting uncontrolled immigration and denying the obvious fact that people who come to the United Kingdom as immigrants are much more likely to commit sex offences than the general population.
For the good of diversity.
And the judges that you have in place are letting some of these ridiculous
Well, look at our
cases.
Attorney General, the top job. I mean, that's what's happening. We have a politicised judiciary.
I mean, let's be clear.
They'll deny that, though.
Let's
They'll
be
deny
clear.
it, yeah.
Britain's top lawyer, the Attorney General, backs China over the Chagos Islands rather than backing Britain and the United States of America. Backs China.
Ridiculous. That is backwards. And I don't even live there, and I'm anchored.
You're American, and even you know.
No. Well, I had an ex-fiance who lived in Surrey.
No, you're right.
So I was very...
I've just got a message in from Gavin from Birmingham who said, I think you're a pair of nods, but I love you.
Gavin, nice one, Gavin.
OK, Cindy, thank you so much. So,
thank you.
Jean...
Have a nice day.
It's either Jean or Jean. Jean in Felixstowe. Now, Jean, I want to ask you, have you ever had a TikTok lover, and do you believe that a TikTok love affair is enough to allow you to claim asylum in the United Kingdom?
No.
What?
No.
What did you call us about,
Jean, do you know what a TikTok love affair is?
Not really, no.
OK. Well, let me tell you, you've missed nothing. You've missed nothing. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
So what is it, Jean? What's up? It's 10 to midnight. It's very late to be calling us. What's going? You could have woken us up or anything.
Yeah. Well, I must admit, I was listening to the whale, yes, James.
Aye.
Of course. And I was hoping to have a word with him, but...
Well, I can pretend I'm him. Look, get on with it then, Jean. What's going on? Shut up, Ash.
Well, you know, I was...
Get on with it. Yeah, you see, it's quite good, isn't it?
James a lot in the past about the illegal immigrants and how totally against them I am. And that if I had my way, I would say to them, well, you know, if you do go off on these boats and you get into trouble, we're just not going to...
Help you. And what would you want James to say back to you?
Well, the thing is, that may sound a bit harsh, but I don't think these people...
Jean, can I tell you, I think you're entirely wrong, and I'm going to explain why. Because I think this excuse of not letting them sink at sea is the excuse for allowing the invasion to take place. So I go completely the other way. I think what we should do is help them. What we should do is we should take them off the boats in international waters. We should repair the boats. We should put food and clothing on the boats and put them back in it and say, look, if you want to sail around in international waters, every time you're about to sink, we'll repair the boat and put you back in it. We'll even supply you with a new boat, but you are not sailing into UK territory.
But why don't we just do the Australian system, just set up one of our islands, put a load of tents in there, like France, and they won't want to come in.
Don't think you even need to do that. I think we should repair their boats. We should repair their boats in international waters and then just leave them to it.
Yeah, but then they'll drown or something. At least if you put them off, just say, come and live in a tent.
What the Australians did. Among other things.
Yeah, you put them on an island in tents and go, there you go for it. And then they won't want to come anymore. And Macron was right. He's saying if we offer them that, of course they're going to come. I mean, we're the idiots.
Yeah.
What about this other thing, Jean, which this idea that Keir Starmer and Richard Harmer have got? Richard Harmer believes that...
Dick Harmer.
That it's important to treat everyone equally. A Somalian refugee should have as much right to a house in the United Kingdom as an ordinary poor family who've lived in the country for 5,000 years.
Well, they've got more rights, actually, haven't they?
It's terrible. And I also don't agree with this stupid idea that the government's come up with... that they're going to end migrant hotels by 2029.
Yeah, but you know how they're doing it? They're buying the hotels.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't want to wait till 2029. I mean, it's
yeah, I mean, they came into power saying we will end the migrant hotels. Now they're saying, well, we'll just carry on with 2029. But we know that won't happen anyway.
But it's exactly the same as what Keir Starmer said about the small boats. We will end the small boats, and his mechanism for ending the small boats. His mechanism for ending the small boats was to fly people in at the taxpayers' expense. It's got nothing to do with the small boats.
We're colluding with the people traffickers.
It's uncontrolled immigration. So when he says that he wants to stop migrant hotels, what he's going to do is convert them from being migrant hotels into being government-owned migrant hostels. That's not the point. We're sick of uncontrolled immigration.
And they'll buy houses next year and turn them into HMOs with like 30...
Also, can I tell you something? Do you know how they say Britain is a nation of immigrants? It isn't. It isn't at all. Up until the 1950s, do you know what the rate of immigration to the United Kingdom was? 7,000 people per year.
I think it was about 3% migrants in this country.
It's now 700,000 or 800,000 per year. Do you know before 1700, the number of migrants that moved to the UK per year was 1,000? Do you know when the Normans invaded, they brought 7,000 people with them? Yeah. This idea that we are a nation of immigrants is just, well, it's true now, but it wasn't true 20 years ago.
We've had more immigrants into this country since 1997 than in the 2,000 years before that.
And I don't agree, you know, even with the saying, you know, the population is going down and people should have more children. No. Because
we've got robots. We've got robots coming out. No one's going to need a job.
If we're talking about a low population, it's time to make abortion illegal. Simple.
Yeah.
Simple. Done.
Yeah.
Now, can I tell you, what has happened is birth control in this country has cost the NHS a fortune. It's murdered unborn children, and every time we kill a British baby, we bring somebody in from Pakistan to replace them, and I don't think that's working.
I don't want. You know,
think that's working.
I mean, I don't think if that's all they can offer to get the population up again is to bring in illegal immigrants to have lots of children. I think that's all wrong.
So have you lived in Felixstowe all your life? And now
No.
Where did you come from?
About 30 years. I was born. I'm a Cockney originally.
So you were driven out. You were driven out of East London, sort of thing. Because there has been a sort of ethnic cleansing of that part. They all left, didn't they, the old Cockneys? They're a protected breed now.
I was only a child at the time, and
do you remember is it Chubby Isaacs?
Tubby Isaacs.
Tubby Isaacs.
The Jewish jelly deal dealer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he moved to America, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah. He did well on that Cockles and Welks store.
Yep.
OK, Jean, thank you so much. By the way, somebody's messaged in saying, Dear Mr Walking, ho-ho, will you still be talking at the event on the 13th of September? I don't know what event is the 13th of September.
Say yes, you will. Just say yes.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but just say it anyway.
Well, but it could be. I don't know. It could be something really dodgy.
What, like a Ku Klux Klan meeting?
Well, they wouldn't invite me to that. Jesus, man, what's your problem? Well, why say that? Why say that?
I was just giving an idea. I mean, I don't know if there is one then.
13th of September. I don't know what the event is. So Gavin in Birmingham, tell me what the event is on the 13th of September. Okay. Oh, look, I'm a bit bothered now because I kind of I want to talk to Mike in the Midlands.
Well, why not? No, but you shouldn't just say Midlands. That's what is it? East Midlands? Is it Birmingham, Nottingham, Leicester? Where are you, Mike? Mike.
Hello.
Yeah, where are you in the Midland?
I'm in Birmingham.
Why don't you say Birmingham?
Well,
be proud, mind you. Yeah, no, it's not that proud to be from Birmingham now, is it? With all the rubbish.
It's very bad, you know, these days.
Yeah.
I want to move to Australia.
Yeah.
Well, why?
Hello.
Do you like it down under?
You can't get into Australia now. They've got a good policy.
Well, I have to go to Oklahoma City or San Antonio, Texas. Then
it'll be quite interesting when countries start saying because of uncontrolled because of uncontrolled immigration, we're going to have a population of a real underclass that can't speak English, who are penniless, who bum off benefits. I'm sure there's going to become a point when countries are going to say we will not allow people from the United Kingdom into our country on the basis that there's a risk.
How do you know that's going to happen?
Are you Americans? I know in Birmingham there's a district in Birmingham called California where a man in the 1860s made a lot of money in the gold rush of Brummie and he came back. And you've got I assume you're from that California part of Birmingham. Is that right? Am I right?
No, I'm from Oklahoma City, sir.
Is there an Oklahoma one?
What's going on here?
Oklahoma State University.
Are you drunk, Mike?
No, I'm not. But
are you high?
I'm originally from the West Midlands, but my ancestors came on the Mayflower and came to Oklahoma in the 1800s. And
can you just do this for another minute because we've got the news? Carry on, Mike.
Okay, yeah, you know, I'm from Oklahoma, and I used to listen to.
He hasn't got much material.
Just do another 45 seconds, please, Mike.
Can I sing you a song?
What's your favourite thing about Oklahoma?
The stage show Oklahoma.
I used to listen to Rick Derringer and Johnny Winter and Edgar Winter.
Rick Derringer, isn't he the one that sang "I'm a Real American"?
Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, yeah.
The Hulk Hogan theme tune.
Jake the Snake McTuffish. Yeah, we had him on the show.
We had a teacher called Mr. Snape who was known as Jape the Snape.
No, but I like Big Daddy, you know, Big and Giant Haystack, the old proper British world of sport. Dickie Davis. You like all that American crap. Oh, he's hung up. That was great to get a call from Oklahoma.
03444991000. We'll be back with your calls just in a couple of moments. Give us a call and you'll get through.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is James Whale Unleashed. If you've just tuned in, just to explain to you, James will do the beginning of the show from home from now on in Wales Week, where he will explain what's irritated him this week, and then me and Asher will take over. So let's just go straight to the calls. Ken is in London. Ken, you're on Talk.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Get out your tin hats, boys. Get your tin hats out. You're headed for big trouble.
Yeah, looks like it.
Why?
We're headed for...
It's biblical, isn't it? It's getting all biblical again, Ken. Tell us what happens in the Bible. Tell us what's going to happen.
It's wonderful. The Bible is wonderful, Ash. The Word of God.
Because everything has come to pass, as it says.
Yeah,
so
yes,
you can tell us what will happen in the Middle East. What's going to happen, Ken?
Well, the Bible tells us that just before the second coming of King Jesus, Ash...
Yeah, the King of the Jews.
King of the Jews. He was born the King of the Jews, born the King of Israel.
Well, I don't think he wasn't born the King of the Jews, was he?
Oh, yes, he was.
Was
yeah.
he?
The wise man came looking for the King of Israel.
Oh, that's right. No, you're right there. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
How do you know? How do you know that Jesus wasn't from Liverpool? Because they'd never find a virgin in Three Wise Men. Hey!
Come on here now, Andre. You need to get serious about the Bible, my friend.
You're getting serious.
It was a bit of fun. I went to school in Liverpool.
There's no time for that. This is a serious
Listen,
matter.
we are seeing the most tremendous development in history now, for this period of time in history.
Yeah.
And Israel now are taking out Iran's nuclear facilities. And this possibly will lead to Russia. I've seen the news tonight, Russia now have totally condemned Israel. The whole world is going to...
Well, I mean, the thing is, Ken, right, they're all condemning Israel. Iran have been saying we're going to destroy Israel. They're a few days away from creating a nuclear. What would they do? Of course Israel has got to attack preemptively. I mean, what are people on about going, Israel have got to back off, and get nuclear annihilation, which will affect the whole world, by the way.
This is totally a self-defence action by Israel.
Of course it is. I can't believe it. Our government, what they're doing, and lots of other governments saying, "Oh, what are you doing?" I mean, ridiculous.
You know, tonight, Asher and Andre, all your listeners, I listened to the BBC News. There was an evil
that's your first mistake.
There was an evil man interviewing a Jewish commander in the army, and he never once mentioned the threats that Israel have been under for years from Iran, who the proxies.
I mean, you've got to believe these people. They seem to think these people go, oh, they don't really mean it. You've got to believe when they say they want to kill you. Look at October the 7th, they go, oh, they don't really mean it. No, they do.
But listen, I've got a warning for everybody listening to this station, watching this. I've got a warning for you, and by the grace of God. Israel will never be destroyed. Israel is God's covenant people. Jesus Christ is the King of Israel. Those who fight against Israel fight against the Creator God, Jesus Christ. Yeah. They can't win. And when are these Muslims going to understand they cannot defeat Israel?
I mean, every single war since 1948, Israel has won because they have to. Their life depends on it. So, I mean, you know, when are they going to get the message that you ain't going to win?
But Ash, they've won it because God is behind them.
Well, that's true.
They've not been quite as great as people make out.
Well, they've never lost a war because they can't afford to.
October the 7th was a pretty disastrous
But listen, here's the important point.
There's been a lot of disasters, but they've always come out on top.
Fair point.
Here's the important point I would like to draw attention to tonight, if you don't mind. Listen, thank you for allowing me to speak. I appreciate it very much. What's going to happen here is very possibly this hatred which will arise when Israel defeats Iran is going to cause a stronger unity between Russia, Turkey, Iran, Libya, Sudan, Syria possibly, and all the Magog nations between the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea. They're all going to unite together to attack Israel, and they will all be going to their own defeat because.
Do you believe that somebody? So they always say that that the Antichrist will rise from Europe. Is it Putin?
Nobody knows who it is. He won't be revealed till after the rapture. Andre. After the
By the way, Nicky...
That was that Blondie track, wasn't it?
Nicky has been in touch, Ken, and asked this question, which I think you will find hard to answer, and I think any Christian would find hard to answer. But can you ask Ken what he makes of one guy surviving that plane crash in India? If it was me, as a lapsed Catholic, I'd be like, wow, God must have a plan for this guy.
Very possibly. A miracle. It was a miraculous...
Maybe he discovered Jesus just before.
No, maybe God's going to use this man for a purpose. We'll find out in the future. But that's a very tremendous miracle in my viewpoint. You see, the Bible says it is appointed unto man to die once. We've all got a death day. We've all got a birthday. We've all got a death day. And God knows how we're going to die, when we're going to die.
So there's no point in doing anything then? It's destiny.
No.
There's no point in putting your seatbelt on. You know, should you not? You just sit there and it's all going to happen anyway.
No, you put your seatbelt on, you obey the law and you be wise. When you drive down the road, you drive carefully.
But if it's destiny, it's destiny, you can.
Yeah,
what you're saying.
God gave us wisdom in this life, Ash. But listen, this is serious business here. I would like to, all those who mock God, who mock the Bible, who mock Jesus, who mock and hate the nation of Israel, need to waken up.
The mockers.
Can I ask you, Ken, what should an ordinary person listening to this, who maybe don't know who you are, have never heard of you, have never seen you out and about, and just for people to know, Ken is the bloke with the sandwich board who quite often goes to protests, called Mick Lynch the Antichrist, or sorry, the follower of the Antichrist, which I think we all approved of, Ken. What should your average person at home do now about any of this?
Well, everybody, if you don't know much about what's happening and you don't know about being born again, Google in your telephone tonight. Tonight, Google up and ask this question on Google. What is born again? What is...
I did that last week. Hey, Siri, what is born again?
Weren't Born Again a pop group that did ABBA songs?
No,
you'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
Oh, sorry.
Born again is a new birth experience by the Holy Spirit, when a person humbles himself before God and asks God for forgiveness of our sins and believes in Jesus the Messiah, that he died for our sins and rose from the dead, and a great miracle takes place within the heart of that man. God gives us a new heart. Hallelujah!
Hallelujah!
Yeah. I believe in Jesus.
Thanks,
I
Ken.
believe in the
It's
Lord.
brilliant. I feel much better now. Yeah, it's all right. So let's go to
Steve in Walsall.
Make sense of that, Steve.
Good evening, Andre. Good evening, Ash.
Good evening. Good morning. Good morning. Get up. Rise and shine.
Oh, sorry, good morning. I've just been listening to Ken. I believe Ken is a very clever man. Anyway, some weeks ago, I listened to Keir Starmer go. He had his orchestrated interview with people, and he was on about his father working 10-hour days.
My father was a tollmaker.
And I felt insulted by that, because in the black country we used to do what they call Dublins.
Well, you had the best toolmakers in Warsaw.
Sitting down.
By the way, I don't approve of black country. It should be BAME country.
That's work.
It's to do with the coal.
I know it is.
No, it's that was work in them days. Believe me, I was there and done it.
I remember the end of it. I mean, I was born in the early 70s. I remember it was still bustling, and that's when it died out back in the 70s.
Well, Maggie Thatcher destroyed industry in this country.
Well, yeah, but also China, we couldn't compete with the Far East, could we? For manufacturing costs. And the Europeans subsidised their engineers. The Germans and the Spanish and the Italians, they subsidised. We didn't get that here. So all our amazing places... collapsed.
They were all subsidised. The tax system was different. They weren't paying any hardly tax on wages.
In Spain, they didn't pay any. You didn't have to pay any transport costs for industry. So if it went around the world, that was gratis. The government paid it. I mean, how can you compete with that? Shipping costs.
Well, I could sit there all night and tell you a lot of stories about what went on.
We're only on till 1 o'clock, so.
Yeah, don't sit here all night telling us that, because it would be.
And you'll be knackered. It's going to be a nice day.
It would be even more dull than listening to James O'Brien.
You've got all those names: Russell Hobbs, Murphy Richards. They all went because they
Murphy Richards.
I mean, they was taxed up to high heaven, and you can't keep up with that.
No.
That's the reason. And then what you end up with then is a benefit society, because nobody's got no jobs. They've got to have money to live. i.e., they've got a benefit society.
Yeah, that will.
By the way, you've just done a massive double negative there. Nobody's got no job.
Pardon?
Right. A double negative. So if you go, one of the big problems with Britain is nobody had no job.
She's saying everyone's got a job.
Which means there is nobody there who doesn't have a job.
The big industry.
I don't know why I got that pedantic. It's very Partridge, that, wasn't it?
People couldn't. I went through recessions myself. You couldn't get a job. So what did you do? You went on welfare.
Went on the game.
Yeah.
Well.
Did you ever go on the game?
Me?
There's a market for everything.
I was a bit younger because I believe there's a bit of money in it, but that's another.
Do you ever remember, talking of that, do you ever remember Surprise, Surprise with Cilla Black in the 80s? And she'd go, right, let's bring down Susan. Susan, it was difficult for you, wasn't it? Yeah, my dad left when I was 5. I sold a kidney and Mum went on the game. Like, all right, well, what we're going to say is now your father won the pools and he moved to Australia and here he is with his beautifully tanned blonde missus and the family.
And they'd all come with their wee tears.
Oh!
And then it was brilliant because Cilla would go while they're all crying go,
No, you've missed the point. You've missed the point. She'd always go, have you got any questions for your dad? Why did you leave us? All questions for after the show. The more the world is changing.
Surprise! You unexpected it! And it was a beautiful ending.
Somebody said that song, Surprise, Surprise, the unexpected hits you between the eyes. That's a surprise you see, surprise, surprise. Right. Somebody said, it's like the person that wrote the song just wrote it on the bus 5 minutes before it was due to come in. What was it? A surprise is a surprise.
That's what they said to the Hezbollah leader, unexpected itchy between the eyes, isn't it?
That's a surprise. And who sponsors it? Talking telephone numbers, BT.
Was it?
Talking
Do you remember
telephone.
What Busby? Do you remember Busby, the little bird?
My favourite thing about Surprise, Surprise.
You won't remember that,
Do you remember Bob Carroll G's? You saw Bob Carroll G's knock on.
Spit the dog.
No, we don't care now. We don't care now, Steve. Bob Carroll G's knock on the door to go. We've got Bob Carroll G's live in the north of Scotland. It's 8 o'clock on Sunday night in the north of Scotland in December. Broad daylight. The woman comes out in a ball gown with a microphone on, going, "Bob, what a surprise to see you! I've come here to surprise you." Oh, unbelievable.
We got him on the show once. We said, I wonder whatever happened to Bob Carroll G. And he called in and he ran one of the biggest candle shops in the northwest.
Carroll G's Candles.
Yeah. And
it's gone bust now.
Yeah.
Paul Burrell's now a florist, isn't he? Oh, because he's like 5 minutes down the road, Paul Burrell.
Is he?
But the amazing thing is about Paul Burrell, Princess Diana's former butler, he's now turned into Princess Diana. He does the puppy eyes and goes...
Like Meghan Markle.
Yeah, it's dreadful.
They all try and...
Anyway, Steve, any thoughts on Surprise, Surprise?
But the thing is, joking apart, you know how old I'm. I've told you in the past, I don't know whether you remember, and I can go back a lot of years, and I'm proud I can go and remember it all, the good, the bad. It's more bad than good.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of it. Starmer's insulted us again.
Well,
the eating allowance was £500. Oh, I'm bringing the eating allowance back. It's £300.
And are you able to keep your house warm and eat enough and everything on what? Because you don't get anything, do you? Much pension.
That's another story. But Starmer, it reminds me of a dinosaur, a great big blockhead, been out with a pea for a brain.
Yeah.
Oh, a bison head.
No, a dinosaur.
Oh, dinosaur. Okay.
By
the way, I tried to talk about 80s and 90s TV. If we could have a conversation about Bullseye, that'd be brilliant.
It was a great show, that was.
In 1, never run out of fizzy pop. It's a soda stream. In 2, impress your neighbours. It's a set of tea towels. One week, Bully's special prize was 24 Cuban cigars. Can you imagine that on ITV?
That's a nice prize. Yeah, lovely.
I love that. OK, let's go to a break, and after that, we're going to be talking to Paul in Hartlepool.
Monkey hangers.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
OK, Paul is in Hartlepool. Paul, you're on Talk.
Hi, John.
What?
Bear with me a bit.
All right, now we'll just wait. Calm down. Don't worry, Paul. Everyone's all right. We're all cool.
Yeah, if I was Keir Starmer for the day, right, I've got to get in a character. Now that we've made the homeless lawful, I'd like to be...
Are you in character now, or is this...
Yeah.
Is that you?
Sorry, I've never taken ketamine, but what's going on?
Are you in Oklahoma, in Birmingham?
All right, I'll just get straight to it then. I was going to have a yeah.
No, have a laugh with us, right? I'll tell you what, but do us a favour, Paul. Before you do your comedy thing, tell us what it is, just so we know when to laugh.
No, it's all right. I mean, go on, just go do it, man.
Doesn't matter. I won't, what I'll tell you is...
Get into character first, Paul. Get into character.
No, he's refusing to do it. I mean, he built it up now.
Go on.
Well, are you ready?
Yeah, we're ready, man. Hit us.
Now with the homeless lawful, what I'm going to do, all the immigrants that come over the water, I'm going to put them all in tents and then out of the hotels, and then I'm going to...
Is this the... Have you got into the character yet? Or is this still you?
Round the winter, I'm going to put them in community centres in single beds.
It's become like Britain's Got Talent, hasn't it? I like it. You're through to the next round.
I've got to be honest with you, it's still funnier than Rory Bremner.
I think it's very good, yeah.
Rory Bremner, somebody asked me once on TV, what do you think ever happened to political satire? I said, it was killed by Rory Bremner, a man who is wholly unfunny.
He did the good Tony Blair. I like this Tony Blair stuff. Have you got any other comedy characters?
Sam reminds me of Zippy. Remember Zippy?
Yeah, go on, do it. Can you do Zippy?
Well, that's what I was trying to do, really.
Zippy!
Oh, was that what it was? Is that what that was?
I'll tell you what amazed me about Rainbow. Why was it that Bungle only wore clothes when he was in bed with Jeffrey? So he wore his pyjamas when he was in bed.
You're right.
But then wore nothing.
He was naked. But it was the 70s and he was very hairy, which was all the rage in the 70s.
So people are messaging me saying, are you speaking at this Tommy Robinson event on the 13th of September? I've got no idea what you're talking about, but I don't tend to attend protests. It's not really my bag. But knock yourself out, enjoy it, but it's not really my thing. OK, thank you, Paul. On to Daniel in Shropshire. Daniel, you're on Talk.
I think he had more material.
Oh, did... Oh,
we'll never hear it. Never mind. Daniel.
Again, Andre, again, Ash. Here's one for your woke that was. It's just come out in the past few hours. So, Police Scotland have been told that using white CPR dummies proves they are institutionally racist.
That's a good point. Good, very good point. Now they should be randomly of all different races and colours, creeds. Yeah, very good point.
Do you think it's racist that that snowmen are only ever depicted as being white?
Another good point.
You know what? Waiting for the day when you hear some woke idiot say, I don't like snow, I think it's white supremacist.
Snow is racist, isn't it, actually? That's a good point.
Actually, when we did...
Racist
so we're going to bring that was the woke that was back as a segment on this show. But when we did it as an actual programme, there was something extraordinary about it. So the producer used to spend, not an enormous amount of time, but like a day, making up fake stories. And what was remarkable was, I wouldn't say it was half, but certainly more than a quarter of the fake stories we invented later became true. The one that I always remember was that people for the ethical treatment of animals have complained about oyster farming on the grounds that it's cruel. Oysters have no brain or nervous system, therefore they don't know they're alive.
That's very rude.
However,
very rude.
However, Peter did launch a campaign about cruelty to oysters.
I'm sorry to any oysters that are offended by that.
And they cited oysters must know what's going on because if you attack them, they shut their shell.
There you see.
It's just a big muscle like me.
Yeah, but you could say the same thing about trees, couldn't you?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, but now trees are very wise, aren't they? We all know that. They're very wise.
Do you know the worst thing about trees? We only know how old they are by cutting them down. That seems unjust.
Yeah.
That seems unjust. There must be a better way. Oh, Christ, this thing's 500 years old. Probably shouldn't have chopped it down now.
Yeah.
Ash, I called you guys yesterday. I DM'd that letter to Ash on Twitter because I could not find a way to contact you.
I'll just have a look and see what.
Apart from email@andrewalker.uk, my actual email address, which I gave out on air.
I tried that, but it literally it was not coming up with anything. It kept saying
I've not got anything from you, Dan. You sure you sent it to me?
I bet you said andrewwalker.co.uk.
So my Twitter handle's Lucifer Cray.
Lewis McRae?
No, I've not got it. When did you send it? The other day, was it?
And it's literally just now.
Oh, right.
In your request.
Oh, you just got it now, in my requests. No, I've not got it yet, anyway.
What is this?
One message. Oh, yeah, I have got it. Here we go, yeah. To the Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Labour government, we the British people hereby formally submit an allegation against your administration as well as... Oh, it's gone all. Oh, it's very long and it's gone all weird.
So that's what I mean. If you want to read it to yourselves at some point,
I don't do homework.
Yeah, I will read it. I'll read it for you, Daniel.
Anything else, Dan?
Thanks. No, that's it. Just if you want to.
Tell us what you're going to do tomorrow in Shropshire.
Tomorrow.
It's going to be a nice day, isn't it? Is it, or is it going to be thunderstorms?
Thunderstorms.
So what, you're just going to stay
hammering it down here?
You're just going to watch World of Sport and that and stay in?
I don't do football.
With Dickie Davis.
No.
It's not just football. There's wrestling and there's all kinds of events.
No, there isn't wrestling.
There is on the World of Sport.
Tomorrow there's Trooping of the Colour. Are we going to watch Trooping of the Colour?
Yeah, because they.
I had a friend of mine. Yeah. I'm not joking. I had a friend of mine who was he was sorry. I'll anonymise this. He was in the military at the time of the Trooping of the Colour, and he said it was awful. He said, I wasn't in the front rank, but he was a black guy from Jamaica, and he said, the minute the BBC came down to do a story about the Trooping of the Colour, they completely ignored all the main people and just went, hey, how does it feel to be the first black sergeant to do the Trooping of the Colour? And he went, I don't care, I'm from Jamaica. And they went, no, but how do you feel? You'll inspire the people of Brixton. And he went, I won't inspire the people of Brixton because I'm from Kingston, Jamaica, not Kingston in West London. And he said, in the end, I had to hide from the BBC when they were going around the barracks. He said, they had no interest whatsoever in any of the history, any of the pageantry, any of the getting the new colours, any of the display, any of the work that had gone. The minute they saw a black dude, they just pursued him round the parade yard until he actually hid from them and refused to talk to them any further. That's unbelievable. He said they weren't even willing to do a story that he was the first Commonwealth sergeant to be a sergeant in the Trooping of the Colour. They weren't interested in that. They just wanted to have a conversation.
They're trying to go, look how not racist we are, pointing out how racist they are, basically.
He was saying, look, it's really difficult. I come from a majority black country. I don't know anything about racism in South London. I've got no idea. I come from Jamaica. I moved from Jamaica to be in the British military. Anyway, there we have it. Apparently we are like Laurel and Hardy. Okay, so it's 0344 499 1000. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 slots available, and Tristan is in Southend. Tristan, you're on talk.
Hello, good evening, gents. How are you doing?
Yeah, because he spoke to you yesterday, and you talk about this guy that cuckooed you. What's the latest in that? Who's basically, you let him stay in your house for 2 weeks, and he's been there 13 years. 13 years, so what's going on?
The only thing I can say, and it's the only thing I'm allowed to say, is it's completely sorted.
Oh, my God.
The problem is no more.
You haven't put him under the patio, have you?
Oh, no, I don't live in Brookside. I live in Southend-on-Sea. Goodness me.
I'm sorry.
That's worse than what happens in Brookside in Southend.
There's many things you can say about Liverpool, but less gangsters. In terms of gangsters, Essex wins. It does win.
I don't know, it's pretty close.
It's not. Oh. It's not even close. Okay. Not even with Curtis Warren counting for about 50.
Yeah, so thank you to everyone who cared yesterday. All dealt with now. I want to ask a question, Andre. Quick question, if I may.
Well, I wanted to ask a question, but you said I can't answer it.
in relation to this possible Israel trip.
Right, stop phoning me on a national radio broadcast about a visit to Israel, about a free holiday.
It's not a holiday. It's a report for you guys.
The problem is, right, just understand the situation that we're in here. I'm doing a national television and radio show. Phoning me up going, Andre, can we discuss this freebie?
I have other things to discuss.
Right.
Bullseye.
No, you can ask about it. Go on.
Shown on TV. Bullseye.
Well, go on. Ask about the freebie.
Yeah. No, ask you about the freebie. Any news?
What from yesterday? No, and also no, I don't know. I will speak to them. Why are we doing this? Why are we? I will speak to. So Tristan wants a free trip to Israel, which I suggest he should go on. Actually, I will speak to them. I will. Tristan, have you got anything else to talk about? Because I can't bother.
Yes, Bullseye. It was the best programme ever on TV. It's so good if you catch it up on the old quiz show channels because they showed the most ridiculous prizes, like microwave ovens, and they just look so dated and out of date.
Do you know that Bullseye used to get a discount on speedboats if they got rid of 2 per series?
And caravans.
So you know what they used to have? They used to have all the prizes behind, and if they go, this is what you could have won, it was a caravan, but if you did win, it was a speedboat.
Yeah, and the thing about that was you'd have like a speedboat and you'd live in somewhere like the Midlands.
Yeah.
Well, there was more canals than Venice. Jim Bowen said that once there was a bloke in a wheelchair and they said the star prize was a skiing holiday. So he said, we can't give him the skiing holiday. So they knew he was going to win. So they went, right, quickly swap the star prize. And it was... Can you not get skiing wheelchair?
It was a 3-piece suite. Right, it was a sofa and 2 chairs. He's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, they'd give me books if I won, Andre. It'd be just my luck for one anything.
I'll tell you what I saw.
Yeah, Bendy Bully.
Tell you what I saw on Bullseye, unbelievably. You know they say answers correct at the time of recording. I saw on Bullseye them say, who is the chairman of the House of Lords? And the person answered, the Lord Speaker. And they went, that's incorrect. It's the Lord Chancellor. Because at the time, it was the Lord Chancellor. It is now the Lord Speaker. So if you answered the question today, they would have been right. But back then, they were wrong. I've never seen that before.
The most amazing thing I saw on Bullseye was, do you remember when they used to spin the board and they go, you've got 30 seconds to decide whether you want to enter, gamble all your prizes. And the first couple went, no, we've had a great day and we're going to go home with,
we've had a great day, yeah.
And so they go, all right, well, let's get out the second couple. And they go, and the second one come out and they just won 200 quid and that was, a lot of money back to some people.
Yeah.
And they went, oh, well, no, we've had a great day and so we're going home with our money. And then, so the ones that lost, who were third, they thought they were out of it. They get invited back and they go, right, and then they won the Bully's special prize. And that is only on Bullseye where the losers could win the star prize.
I saw one once.
It was like entering another realm.
I saw one once where all 3 couples said no to the gamble.
Yeah, I remember that one. There was that one, and he was a bit shocked, and he goes, oh, well, in that case, this has never happened on Bullseye before.
In that case, that's the end of the show.
But do you also remember, and this was genius, it only happened on Bullseye, if they lost, the theme tune at the end was all in minor chords.
Yeah,
and if they won, it was all whistles, and it was very clever. That it was very cleverly produced in Birmingham Central TV.
By the way, can I tell you something that most people don't know? Right, if you've got a budget for a television show, if they win the prizes, that comes out your profit, right? So they don't want you to win.
Well, Jim Bowen told us because he came on years after, and he said, oh yeah, we used to, if they won, we quickly swapped the prizes off from the cards to this.
Yeah. So they deliberately, here's what you could have won, they bring out like something good. If you actually won, they gave you something crap.
But do you remember when they used to win a Ford Fiesta or whatever? It was always the most basic of them. I mean, obviously it's great to win a car, but it was never the fully loaded.
But in those days, they used to actually buy the prizes. Somebody said that they used to go to, these do you remember you used to get these salvage places where like a shop had burnt down and there'd be like one item or...
Yeah, the cars were 2 cars stolen and welded together.
No, it wasn't that. but basically, they just used to go, I mean, I'll tell you what, they once gave away matching velour leisure suits. The only people that I've ever seen you wearing the matching velour leisure suits were Putin and Medvedev.
And Scousers.
No, the matching velour leisure suits was not good look.
Calm down.
Even for Putin. But as I always say about Vladimir Putin, he hasn't actually worked out that Right Said Fred are meant to be a gay act. Because the Russians think...
No, but do you remember when they got
beaten
beaten up in Moscow with Peter Tatchell on a gay parade?
Oh.
Yeah, they
Do you know what? Do you know what?
They caused an international incident.
Richard from Right Said Fred told me this story. Apparently, all that happened was somebody went, "There's a big party going on in Red Square. Pop down." They popped down, and it was Moscow Gay
Got punched
Pride.
in the face.
Just as the police were about to raid.
Too sexy.
I'm too sexy for my teeth. More next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
So hang on a second, Asher. They're all saying to me that there's some sort of ghost story that you've got. Tell us.
No, we're talking about Dr. Dave Bull, who's now chairman of Reform. He's not doing the weekend breakfast here now. It's going to be Alex. But, yeah, he was on one of the big chat shows. Was it Good Morning Britain? Yeah, he was on Good Morning Britain, and he was, talking about Reform, and with Richard Madeley. And then he sort of went into this story about when he did, Most Haunted, or the one with Derek
Most
Acora.
Haunted Live.
And he said, oh, yeah, and he said he was driving in his car and he felt a presence in the car, and he kept looking, there was no one there. And then when he got to the pub, because he was meeting Derek after the filming, and Derek said, who have you brought with you? And he goes, what do you mean? He goes, well, there's someone, it's your grandmother. And then, this was Dr. Dave Bull's story, he said Derek Acora jumped off his chair and started strangling Dave Bull.
What?
Yeah, so there's Derek Acora strangling. And his bodyguards had to drag him off because Dave Bull goes everywhere. Or was it Derek? I don't know. But he jumped on him and he went, oh, sorry, I got possessed by an evil spirit. And, so it's quite a strange story, that. But anyway, Derek's not with us anymore. So if you're listening, Derek...
So he can't be prosecuted.
Oh, yeah. No, but... he got discovered on...
I'm getting the word.
With me and James Wales, Derek Acora, because he used to come on our show and he'd get thousands of calls going, can you tell... And Wales manager, Stuart, at the time, he just managed Wales, and he did Billy Ocean's British tour. He managed that. He also managed Derek Acora, and he became a big star, didn't he, Derek? And, he apparently attacked Dave Bull. So, Derek, you've got the right of reply. We're waiting for your... Yeah? Oh, yeah. Oh, you did do it. Oh,
really?
There you can't say that about Dr.
hasn't
Dave
come
Bull.
out in the media.
Yeah, Sam. Well, now Sam, his sidekick... It was an Ethiopian guy. He's now actually left the spirit world, and we'll have him on next week, Sam.
I remember. I was listening to this bloke who came on like GMR, Greater Manchester Radio, and they're going. I communicate with a Native American called White Arrow, who and he was going on like this, and somebody went, well, I communicate with White Arrow. He brings round my catalogue shopping on a regular basis. It's
But the thing is,
White Arrow's a delivery firm, for God's sake.
In the end, we had him on every month for 3 hours, and me and James would go Enid in Buckinghamshire, and then we just sit back, and he'd just talk for the whole show. And when you do the whole show, you'd realise he repeats things, like he'd say, oh, you know that dog with he had the problem with his teeth? Yeah, no, No, well, with respect, you did have a dog with a problem with his teeth. Well, they're all right. He's in spirits. His teeth are all right. And you hear that about every, few weeks.
Yeah, but they do things like, so it was a family of, it was 5, was it 5 siblings? No, I've got 2 brothers, so it was a family of 5. Oh, come on. Like these numbers, cold reading.
Yeah. Do you know Betty? No. Well, with respect, you do know Betty, and you get quite great, and then you start strangling.
Yeah, just you go home, think about it, and you'll remember.
So, yeah, Dave Bull was attacked and strangled by Derek Acora.
Right. Who is this person?
Gijin.
From Birmingham.
Hi, Gijin.
All right, Andre and Ash, Gavin.
All right, man.
From Birmingham.
What's going on, man?
Well, I phoned that. You know when you're going about the housing crisis and all that?
Yeah.
Well, I've been evicted on Monday. I've been renting a place for 12 years. And a few months ago, I got served a Section 21. Right, and there's absolutely no help out there for me. Basically, the housing has said to me, I've always worked all my life. I've never claimed or anything like that. So I need a bit of help, like. And it's unbelievable. You know what they said? Is it a floor? Or can anyone get a settee for you? For me? I couldn't believe it. But you reminded me of something else about Dr. David Bull. I think he's brilliant, I do.
Who?
Like,
Who's brilliant?
Dr. David Bull.
Dave Bull?
Yeah.
It's like
I can't change element, you see. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was
so let me ask you. So you've been thrown out after 12 years.
Yeah.
You've been thrown out after 12 years, and it's a no-fault eviction. What are you going to do?
Well, and this is what I'm saying. The only help I've got, them told me, wait for the mains to come, right, and then find the settee or the floor.
So where are you living? Where are you living currently?
In my rented house.
So you have
at the moment.
No, he's being evicted Monday.
You mean? So are you going to leave the house? You don't have to leave the house until you're. They don't leave.
I know, but the thing is, though, it's just prolonging it all, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's hard enough anyway.
Well, what are you going to do? I mean, what area of Birmingham are you in?
Like Whitford area. And the thing is, I've dealt with all that, but honestly, it's really man out there, you know.
I know.
I've always worked, man, and then basically, could have always worked. It's as if, like, it's one of them, like, you know, sorting out yourself, there's nothing you can do. Fine, ain't it?
No.
But anyway, you know about Mr. Bull, right? I respect him, and I was soft about him being a chairman. But I tell you what, I didn't have changed my mind when he started doing about all them ghost stories and all that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just thought, he's going to lead our country.
Well, I think we need somebody to save the country, don't we?
Yeah, I know, yeah, but, I mean, Mr. Bull, like, you know, seeing ghosts and everything like that.
Have you ever seen a ghost, Gidgeon?
No, it's Gavin.
Gavin.
I don't not believe in ghosts because I've never seen one.
Gammon.
I'm not saying that someone else hasn't seen a ghost, but I haven't.
All right, Gavin, thanks so much. I'll tell you what, why don't we go for an early break? We'll
Thanks,
be back in a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
OK, let's get straight to it. James is in Portsmouth. James, you're on Talk.
Well, hello, guys.
All right, mate.
Hello.
Well, instead of idiots, let's talk about who we are.
Are you on hands-free?
Yeah.
Can you use your hand, please?
2 seconds, guys. I'm just coming downstairs.
Just pick the
Let's
phone
talk
up.
about who we are.
You're still hands-free.
I'm here.
Oh, hang on. That person that's texting in, GT, is Gavin, isn't it?
No, Gajin. So, James.
I'm here.
That's better. Look, nice, crystal clear.
Well, hello, guys.
Well, you're
Let's
too
talk
clear.
about-
Can you go back
let's
on
talk about who
hands-free,
we are.
please?
Back on hands-free again.
No, actually, no, stay there.
Hello?
Hello? Oh,
Yeah.
James in Portsmouth. What did you want to say?
Well, let's talk about who we are.
OK.
I'm Ash, Andre.
Yeah.
You're James.
We are the best people in the world.
I agree.
Aren't we?
I agree.
We don't mess around. We help people.
Yeah.
We look after people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we spend our money like this football thing. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? What we do? Looking after people.
Yeah.
Yeah? This world is full of idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah? We went around this world
Yeah.
and said to them, if you want to be like us, you can be like us. If you don't want to be like us, you can do your own thing. And when it's done, messed up.
Well, no, what we've said is we've looked at countries like Somalia, we've looked at countries like...
Somalia?
We've looked at countries
Somalia?
like Somalia,
Somalia?
we've looked at
Somalia?
countries like Kazakhstan, we've looked
No,
at
no, no.
countries like Afghanistan and
Hang
said
on,
we need
you.
Britain
Hang
to be
on,
more
hang
like
on,
that.
you. Hang on, you. Somalia, yeah? Say you found a big container ship, what are you going to do with it?
Sorry?
Unload the containers.
To where?
What would I do with a big container ship? Sell it? I
Somalia.
don't know.
Well,
Yeah, we have the biggest insurance company in the world called Lloyd's of London.
It's not an insurance company, it's a market.
Yeah? We love people and we look after people.
You know, the point I'm making is we've tried to copy the low standards of Somalia rather than export our knowledge to them.
We try to copy the low standards of Somalia. Or somebody in a little ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would send out £1 billion fucking aircraft carrier to what do? Yeah?
Yeah.
This world is full of idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
The whole world is full of idiots.
Yeah.
From Trump to Russia.
Well,
to
Trump's
China,
trying to sort
India,
it all out.
everywhere.
What's your answer? I thought Trump's the person who's going to sort it all out.
Trump isn't though. Do you know why? Because we control the world. Yeah? If they control the world, like Russia, India, China, Brazil, all them lot.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything, are they?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just taking the mick.
Yeah.
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 Well, yeah, they
And
are.
this country is where...
Well, what should we do then? You know, James, you're the king of the world. What do you do, James?
Ask people. Why?
You
Would they
don't
like to
know,
be
do you? You
rich?
don't
Would they
know.
like to be civilized?
why?
We'd like to be healthy. Yeah, look at Africa. They don't know what a tap is. We give them £3 a week.
They don't know what a tap is.
How old is Africa? Yeah? Why do we have to keep being like the people who give and look after?
Well, there is a bit of the white saviour thing, isn't it? Oh, we'll save you. And it's very patronising, isn't it? I mean, we have actually a GDP per capita lower than some African states now. We're going to hell in a handcart.
We are the richest country on earth. The reason why the richest country on earth.
So that's to the people who show that's a Xijin who's about to be kicked out his house.
All the banks. Yeah? All the banks from the Virgin Islands, the Caribbean.
Yes, but there is a slight problem with that. There is a slight problem with that. What's your definition of we? Because the British Virgin Islands, and even to an extent the Isle of Man, they're independent countries, or effectively independent countries.
Guernsey.
Well, the fact that we control banks in Jersey, Guernsey, the Isle of Man, Cyprus, Gibraltar, the British Virgin Islands, doesn't mean that we as a country have those assets. No, hang on a second. Don't just simply insist that that's correct. The fact a bank account domiciled in the British Virgin Islands is not owned by us in any meaningful sense whatsoever.
Why are you angry?
Because you're talking bollocks.
Wait, the reason why you got a job is because we are the best.
Right. Well, you've just repeated that. Yeah, all right, great. Fun. All right, Paula is in Halifax. Paul, you're on Talk.
Hi, Ash.
All right, man. Hi, Paula.
Are you all right?
Yeah, how's your mum? All right, your mum?
Yeah, she's fine.
Good, good.
I were ringing up tonight because last night I got confused because I wasn't watching it on.
Well, no, when you call in, you shouldn't watch. You just listen and look into the eyes.
No, but I didn't realise there was another man there.
Did you not realise I had another man with me?
I hear that.
Yeah, we had Curtis, who looks like Jim Carrey, Curtis Hinton.
You make me laugh, but listen, on a very serious note, how is James Whale doing?
Did you watch earlier? He was on for the first 25 minutes. He seemed to be his normal self, didn't he, today? So
he seemed in great form,
You should have called in then. He was zipping through the calls.
I didn't see it, Ash. I didn't see it.
Oh.
But
no, look at Paula. I'm sorry I'm in a tetchy mood, but you can't not watch the beginning of the show and then phone up going, what happened at the beginning of the show? Because it is a little disrespectful to the people that watch the whole thing. Right, my advice is if you want to know about James Whale, watch the bit of the...
Piss off. Piss off.
All right.
Another satisfied customer. Stephen
No, she's
Darby.
not gone. Oh, she's actually gone.
Hello. Hi, Steve.
Hello, Andrew.
Hey up, Duck. Hey up, Duck. That's what they're saying. Darby. All right, Duck.
I've not spoken to you for ages, Ash. I used to speak to you quite a lot when you and James were on, but not so much Andrew. I have phoned in before, and I do really enjoy your show. But I just wanted to say something that might sound a bit strange, but I was actually
Not after the last
to,
few calls, it won't be strange.
I was listening to another radio station earlier on.
That is strange.
And there was quite a lot of news about obviously Israel and Iran and the things that are going on at the moment. Yeah. And I actually fell asleep, and I actually woke up hearing an air raid siren. And I thought, and it put the fear of God in me. I thought it was actually over.
Because it's sort of a premonition about what could be happening here. We don't realise we're like the boiling frogs, but, you know, if nuclear weapons, if Iraq they've said they want Iran, they want to destroy us and America.
I'll tell you what I think is more terrifying for the Western world is what little Ukraine and little Israel... Israel's a bit funny because it is quite a powerful military power, but these embedding drones in your own country and then suddenly taking to the air and attacking stuff. I mean, Russia lost £6 billion worth of strategic nuclear bombers in one raid.
A third of their capability.
Yes, it was actually the news report. The siren was on the radio, and I thought it was actually over. Sorry, I thought it was actually.
James, you know what you can get on YouTube? You know what you can get on YouTube? You can get the BBC. This is the BBC. Britain is under attack. What you need to do is you can get it and literally it goes on for 45 minutes. What you do is assemble all your family, send your dad out to get a packet of crisps in the kitchen and then turn it on. And he goes, we are interrupting this broadcast for an important announcement. Britain is under nuclear attack. Oh, I'll tell you what, it really gets them. It's a great thing to do on Christmas Day. Lovely.
I heard, I don't know if this is true, but years ago they used to say, I remember hearing the sirens, it went off in Birmingham in the 80s accidentally. But I've heard that if there is going to be a nuclear strike in this country, all the phones in the country ring. And apparently Joanna Lumley has done a voiceover going, now is the time to go in, your shelter and all this. So it's Joanna Lumley.
I was reading the Queen's statement that she was going to read if there was a nuclear war. It was quite interesting, actually. Going, my government and I have been blown to pieces.
But we're all right, Jack, because we're in the shelter.
No, the shelter doesn't work. Do you not know?
No, they don't work.
Not with bunker buses. You know what they were going to do with the Queen? They were going to put her on the Royal Yacht Britannia and just sail her from Scottish Island to Scottish Island
Tony Blair
during the night, so nobody knew where she was.
She'd have to go on a sea link.
Yeah. It just makes you worry that the fact that what is going on, obviously, in the world and in Israel in particular, with people.
I'm really sorry, Steve, but your line's gone a bit ropey. I didn't catch
That's the authorities doing that. Thanks, Steve.
There were people on the show saying that obviously for and against Israel, but
that was just a noise.
Well, I've got to be honest with you. Got to be honest with you, Steve. Whatever you think of Israel, I've no problem with you stopping Iran getting a nuclear weapon. Just generically, that seems like a wise move.
I mean, yeah, when they threaten to nuke you and they're nearly days away from a nuclear, what do you think they're going to do? Ridiculous.
Stacey's in South Wales. Stacey, you're on talk.
Burida.
Stacey. Who do we like, Stacey or a mom?
Stace.
Hello.
Hello.
Burida.
Hello. Not on the telly.
You what?
Not on the telly.
Yeah, you are, yeah.
You're not in Putelli?
No, not on the telly.
Right.
You're not on the telly?
Okay.
No, I'm watching the telly.
No, me and him are on the telly.
Oh, no, right. The TV and radio is 14 seconds behind, so you are on the telly now.
Now you're on Putelli.
Sorry, yeah. Hello both. How are you?
So what's up, Stacey? What's you call us at this time? I mean, we could have been asleep or anything. It's 5 to 1. Must be an emergency. What's up?
First of all, right, I want to send my hello to James Wales, because I absolutely love him. And secondly, what James said really struck with me. He was like, if he was going to die of cancer, it would be now.
Yep.
So I kind of get that. I'm a 43-year-old woman. I've got no family. And the way the world's going, right, I've got a child at the moment. I'm a single parent. If it wasn't for her, I would not want to be here. And
Well, yeah,
also,
but you have to be here for your kid.
I have to, yeah, but
there is a great fatalistic element, isn't there? The best time to be alive is today, but that will be eclipsed by the best time to be born is tomorrow. I mean, look, we are heading towards a war. There's no point in pretending, but I'm confident that we can avert it. I mean, what we can't do is what we've done before every other war, which is say war couldn't possibly happen in this era. It's so inconceivable. And the big danger, by the way, is not the rise of China and the attempted rise of Russia. Actually, if you look at wars, what happened was in Germany, it was when Hitler started to struggle to run the country because, as you know, he built everything on the never, never. That's when the conquest started to happen.
I mean, we haven't been at war, have we, really?
It's the fact that President Xi of China is now under pressure to continue to deliver on the economic miracles. That's when they start invading places. The other problem that you've got is this. With a dictator, you have to understand, dictators don't retire, they die. Therefore, if President Xi fails to deliver for his country, he will be killed. Therefore, if he invades Taiwan, he may well be killed, but there's also a chance that he may well be a hero. And that's why dictators are so dangerous, because Adolf Hitler wouldn't have survived had he not rolled the dice of invading France, or invading Poland, rather. And so that's the danger with them all.
Well, that's the issue we've got now. We've pretty much got a dictator, haven't we? With the I won't call him sir. I refuse to call him sir. Keir Starmer.
No, what we've got with Keir Starmer is a man who's thoroughly incompetent. He's risen without trace.
He's a warmonger.
He's not even that, really. He's just pointless, isn't he? He's like nothing. But he's in charge.
In fact, actually, it's because politics has surgically removed the interesting people, and this isn't word, but let's make it up. The blandification of British politics.
But what is you've got how old's your daughter or son?
She's 6.
So she's 6. I mean, that is terrible. So what are you thinking of doing? Do you want to leave the country? What do you see her future?
Oh, I would love to leave here. There's every day there's things coming on the news. Well, I don't.
And where would you move if you had to leave the country?
I have no idea. That's what I mean.
Do you know, my advice to any parent is if you've got a son, any parent, buy them a drone for their birthday or Christmas, because if the war comes, drone operators will not be running into machine gun fire. Just saying. Just saying. If you get drafted, I'd rather be drafted as a skilled drone operator than as an infantry soldier. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not laughing.
He wasn't joking.
I'm not
So
laughing.
tomorrow, get your daughter a little drone, maybe a Peppa Pig drone, because she's 6, and, you know, wean her up, and
I'll
then
have to buy her a machine gun to protect herself in this.
Well, that's the later stages.
No, you
Not
don't.
at 6 years old.
No, you don't understand. Buying a machine gun makes her more likely to go into
Yeah.
infantry.
Yeah.
What you want her to be a drone operator so she won't be on the front line. That's the point.
It'll all be when
No,
she's
I can't-
older. The robots will be in
I
charge.
can't believe that. What you need to do is keep away from being infantry, therefore become a drone operator. And my caller says, I'll buy her a gun. No, that's what you don't want to do.
But I mean, the thing is, we are entering a world where now warfare is done with drones, and we're getting AI. You know, it's coming more and more. When she's grown up in 12 years, who knows what state this world's going to be in?
OK, Stacey, thank you so much. So I just wanted to thank all of you for this show. Obviously, James Whale will continue to come on for the beginning of the shows from his home.